na binigay po ng mga taga-DNR, andito po lahat kompleto.
Pero ito,
Hindi po 6.
1, 2,
Pero I cannot give it to you kasi confidential po to supposed to be.
4,
Sabi ng source ko, huwag
5,
ipapakita. Of course, hindi ko
6,
papakita. And I respect my
7.
source. Kaya nga yung source ko,
7.
yung isa nagsabi 12, yung isa nagsabi 13. Gusto ko lang ma-verify kung alin ba talaga, 12, 13, wag lang 6. Siguro tatanggapin ko 10, 11, 12, wag lang 6 talaga.
So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, sirit na. Meron po akong records dito na binigay po ng mga taga-DNR. Andito po lahat kompleto.
Pero ito,
Hindi po 6.
1, 2,
Pero I cannot give it to you kasi confidential po to supposed to be.
4,
Sabi ng source ko, huwag
5,
ipapakita. Of course, hindi ko
6,
papakita. And I respect my
7.
source. Kaya nga yung source ko,
7.
yung isa nagsabi 12, yung isa nagsabi 13. Gusto ko lang ma-verify kung alin ba talaga, 12, 13, wag lang 6. Siguro tatanggapin ko 10, 11, 12, wag lang 6 talaga.
So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 6, 7.
8, 9,
Ano
10.
yung pang-8?
Tapos pakisabi ng all official.
Mr. President, the reason why I'm
We
asking
just want to,
let me just continue, ma'am.
we
Sure.
just want to
Kasi
say,
we're talking about people's money here. Kaya nga-
Session
Yeah.
suspended for a minute. Ano lang?
Exactly. That's what I said, Mr. President, Madam Sponsor. Dapat paggagawa ng survey, nandoon yung DNR, yung supervisor, nandoon po yung nagpapasurvey na LGU, at nandoon din po yung mga taga-LGU na nakaka-boundary nung sinesurvey. Nang sa gayon, right there and then, ma-resolve na po yung issue tungkol po sa encroachment. Kasi most of the time, gumagawa po ng survey, let's say, sa isang province, na hindi po nagpapasintabi doon sa mga boundary. So nagkakaroon po ng encroachment. And then later on, nagkakademandahan na. Samantalang kung nandoon sila, right there and then, ma-resolve na po agad yung problema sa encroachment kasi pwede sila mag-usap-usap at magpasa silang resolution hanggang sa ma-resolve po yung issue na hindi na kailangan pumunta sa korte. At hindi po nangyari
alam
yan.
nyo, in practice, matitigas din ang ulo ng local government. Hindi ko mo sinabi nila na ganito ang findings, mag-a-agree sila.
Mr. President,
Kasi,
Madam,
syempre gusto nila mas malaki ang area nila as much as
Oh.
possible kahit na mali na. I mean, from my experience sa local
So are you saying
government.
matitigas ang ulo lahat ng mga governors and mayors sa
Hindi naman.
probinsya?
Yung mga nagkakaproblema, medyo i-insist nila yung gusto nila. May ano din sila very assertive din sila, especially in areas where they are
Mr. President,
elected. Oo.
Madam Sponsor, no, I don't think so. In fact, the LGUs, they would prefer na nandun sila present, both sides, para may square off agad yung problem. Kung meron man, ma-iron out any kinks along the way habang gumagawa ng survey. Kaso hindi nga raw po sila naimbitahan. Nagugulat na lang po sila, tapos na po yung cadastral survey. Samantalang hindi naman po sila napagsabihan. Wala daw pong pasintabi sa kanila. Sila po yung sa boundary nitong ginagawa ng survey, and then malalaman na lang nila years down the line na nagkaroon ng encroachment, nagkakademandahan. Because
Alam
hindi
nyo,
po nasunod yung
this
tamang
is a
process.
common problem. In fact, in our city, yung boundary ng barangay, pinag-aawayan din. I mean,
Because pumapak po, Mr. President, pumapalpak po kasi yung DNR. It's the fault of the DNR. It's not the LGU. Hindi po dahil matitigas ang ulo ng mga taga-LGU, dahil matitigas po ang ulo ng taga-DNR, dahil meron corrupt dyan sa DNR, and I'll tell you who those people are.
okay. Alam nyo, corruption is everywhere. It can be in the department, it can be in the local government.
Exactly.
Pare-pareho lang yan.
Kaya nga,
Questions that the sponsor can no longer answer, and the distinguished gentleman from Davao, Isabela, would like to seek more answers from the department, then you can suspend the session a little bit.
Yes. Move that
Thank
we,
you.
for the previous motion, Mr. President,
Yes.
to recognize the sponsor and the interpellator, Senators Rafi Tulfo and Senator Cynthia Villar.
Yes, once again, the sponsor and the interpolator is recognized. Please proceed. Please proceed.
thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Madam Sponsor. I have 6 topics here for tonight. Let's start with the travel expenses. The Office of the Secretary of the DNR was allotted
Hindi ko alam yan.
in 2023 1.1 billion pesos, and in 2024 it will be allotted 1.173 billion pesos. Now, ang gusto ko palang malaman, paano po nagastos itong 1.1 billion noong 2023? First question. Pangalawang question, ano po ang nagbunga sa mga trips na ito? At pangatlo at follow-up question, meron po kasi ako natanggap na mga reklamo mula mismo sa mga DNR na yung secretary daw po ng DNR ay isang jet setter this year alone, or starting nung siya po ay ma-appoint, umabot po sa 13 to 14 times yung kanyang foreign trips. Correct me if I'm wrong. Although most of it were official, then if it were official, then ano-ano po yun? Yun muna po ang question ko, Madam Sponsor.
Ito.
Ito mamang ang OSEC includes bureaus, orientations.
Ano ba yung bureaus? Okay. The GAA budget spent for travel in 2023 is 1.1 billion. 1.1 billion ba yan? But it includes the travel of the Office of the Secretary, including 4 staff bureaus, namely the Biodiversity Management Bureau or BMB, Forest Management Bureau of FMB, the Land Management Bureau, and the Ecosystems Research and Management Bureau. It doesn't all fall under the Office of the Secretary.
Okay, so ibig sabihin meron pong iba't ibang departamento din ang gumamit
Yes.
ng 1.1 billion.
Oo.
Okay, that's a good answer. Okay. Now, ang sunod ko pong katanungan, ano po yung pakinabang ng taong bayan doon po sa 13 to 14 foreign trips ni DNR Secretary Loizaga?
Oh, ilan?
Like I said, correct me if I'm wrong, kung tama ba yung binigay sa akin info, 13 to 14 trips, although doon sa 13 to 14 trips, meron ka atang personal trips doon, so wag na natin i-consider yun, maybe 2 or 3.
Oh, ilan
But let's
yung
stick with the
official?
official trips. Ano po ang pakinabang ng taong bayan
Ano yung
doon sa mga foreign trips na madalas na po mangyari, compare po sa mga previous DNR Secretary na hindi po masyado nagbibiyahe sa abroad, they prefer na magstay na lang dito at mag-ikot na lang po sa ground, mag-inspeksyon at tutukan po yung mga problema sa iba't ibang region.
United Nations, all foreign trips for officials.
How many foreign trips?
5 or 6, I'm just confirming.
Oh yeah, you just list down.
United Nations.
Can the DNR Secretary, can we put her under oath if she says 5?
We will suspend the rules if she's going to answer. You want...
Kasi pag sinabi niyang 5, nope, I don't think nagkamali po yung mga source ko. Let's put her under oath na talagang
yung
panindigan niya na 5.
5 ilan? 6, 5?
I don't think so. Hindi lang po 5.
I think
Hindi
that
lang po
sinasabi
six.
niya
Hindi
yung
lang po seven,
kanyang
eight, nine,
ibang
10.
trip personal. So it's not charged to the only...
Limang
All-
trip personal, sabi po ng aking source, lahat yun ang ginamit niya yung kanyang diplomat passport. So kung diplomat passport ang ginamit niya, it has to be official. Kasi doon sa mga trips na binigay sa akin ng tipster ko from the DNR people
Ito,
alone,
ilan mo na yan?
2 beses lang niya ata nagamit yung kanyang personal passport. So karamihan daw doon ay
Ito.
puro
Development, water,
diplomat passport.
Montreal, the biodiversity.
Kasi kung sasabihin niyang 5, then let's put her to the president.
Okay. So there are five trips for the United Nations, the Asia Pacific Ministerial Conference for Disaster Risk Reduction. Number 2 is United Nations Framework on Climate Change. Number 3 is
Biodiversity Conference.
United Nations Biodiversity Conference in Montreal, and then
United Nations Water in New York.
United Nations Water in New York and
United Nations Sustainable Development
United Nations Sustainable Development where?
in New York,
In New York also.
the United Nations Sendai Framework. One more, Sendai Framework.
Sendai Framework, UN in New York.
Then Japan and Washington, D.C. Official.
All Sendai Framework in New York, so that's 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and Japan and Washington DC, all official trip.
How about yung trip niya sa Abu Dhabi and sa Dubai?
That was recently.
Mr. President.
Abu Dhabi and Dubai are both.
Was it personal or official? Kasi yung sa Abu Dhabi and Dubai, sabi ng aking source sa DNR, ang ginamit po doon ay yung diplomat passport.
Pre-conference, katatapos lang po ito. United Nations.
And Egypt as well.
Egypt is Sharm el-Sheikh, that's COP27. That's the United Nations Framework on Climate Change. Abu Dhabi is the pre-COP conference.
So bakit hindi po binanggit yung Abu Dhabi and Dubai in the first place? So,
Recently lang daw eh. It's
Kaya nga, all in
Abu
all.
Dhabi, Dubai, and
The conference was in Abu Dhabi. Okay. And
so tama ba? 13, 14 or less than 13, 14? Like I said, correct me if I'm wrong. Kasi yung information that was given to me, yan po ay galing sa iba't ibang opisyal sa DNR. So meron sa kanila siguro medyo kumulang, meron sa kanila medyo sumobra. So tinitimbang ko ngayon, kung ilan sasabihin nyo, papayag na ako. Basta't wag lang 6.
Sharjah is Dubai.
For the information of the good sponsor, first time in history na meron tayong DNR secretary na almost every other month bumibiyahe sa abroad.
I would
Yan
like
po
to
yung
add,
ma'am, let me add. Yan po yung reklamo ng ilang mga taga-DNR mismo sa iba't ibang region na yung kanilang DNR secretary hindi po nila nakikita or bihira nila makita in person para mag-inspection, unlike the other DNR secretaries who goes to the ground para makausap sila at mag-inspeksyon. At yung DNR secretary daw nila ngayon, walang ginawa kundi puro forum lang daw sa mga hotels at mga video calls, video conference, at wala na
Pero-
talaga pupunta sa ground. Yan po yung comment mismo, sumbong na galing sa mga taga-DNR.
alam ko po ano na magka-problema tayo sa Mindoro and doon sa spill. Alam ko palagi siya naandun sa Mindoro, di ba? To
How about,
settle
yes.
that.
Okay.
And sinasabi niya, ito daw Dubai, most recent to, kaya hindi niya agad na banggit at hindi pa tapos. Meron pa sa...
Meron pa? Oh, okay.
Hindi, yung Abu Dhabi and parang November and December tong Abu Dhabi and Dubai. Hindi to before.
No, the Abu Dhabi ay nabiyahe na.
Just finish.
Yes.
And then
Yung Dubai, ilang beses nabiyahe na. Ilang beses ba sa Abu Dhabi at ilang beses sa Dubai?
Once lang daw. Yung Dubai is coming pa, di ba? Yun doon.
Nope. Na-consume na po yun. Again, I'll put you under oath. Pag sinabi niyo po coming pa lamang.
United Arab Emirates government.
Please don't lie.
Anong naman? Tapos na to. Hindi pa tapos to. Itong Dubai.
Okay, sirit na.
Sharjah.
Meron po akong records dito na binigay po ng mga taga-DNR. Andito po lahat kompleto.
Pero ito,
Hindi po 6.
1, 2,
Pero I cannot give it to you kasi confidential po to supposed to be.
Four.
Sabi ng source ko, huwag
5,
ipapakita. Of course, hindi ko
6,
papakita. And I respect my
7.
source. Kaya nga yung source ko,
7.
Yung isa nagsabi 12, yung isa nagsabi 13. Gusto ko lang ma-verify kung alin ba talaga. 12, 13, wag lang 6. Siguro tatanggapin ko 10, 11, 12. Wag lang 6 talaga.
So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 6, 7.
8, 9,
Ano
10.
yung pang-8?
Mag-calculate. Tapos pag-isabi ng all official.
Mr. President, this is why I'm
We
asking
just
this.
want to,
Let me just to continue, ma'am.
we
Sure.
just want to
Kasi
say,
we're talking about people's money here. Kaya nga-
Session
Yeah.
suspended for a minute. Ano lang?
Mr. President, we are just preparing the official list, so we will give it to Senator Tulfo to confirm with his list.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Madam Sponsor. Now, my follow-up question then to that is, pwede ho bang magbanggit yung ating Secretary sa DNR? Ano po yung naging pakinabang ng taong bayan doon po sa mga trip niya sa abroad, whether that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Mr. President,
Sinasabi po na lahat ng trip na yan is ministerial level. She has to go and she has the approval of the president. Kasi may mga conference na dapat yung secretary of DNR should go. At meron namang conference na pwedeng mag-send lang siya ng representative. So itong sinasabi niyang trips ay talagang she has to go kasi ministerial, she has to represent the Philippines.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Madam Sponsor. But that didn't answer my question. My question is, again, for the second time, ano po yung naging pakinabang ng taong bayan doon po sa mga foreign trips?
So ito
ni,
ay disaster risk reduction. Another, United Nations is climate change conference, conference on biodiversity. Then another one, invitation of Abu Dhabi for the Sendai UAE, United Arab Emirates, for the disaster risk reduction, and another climate change conference. The problem with the DNR and even the Climate Change Commission, their conferences are always abroad. Kaya hindi lang DNR ang malimit sa abroad, marami din yung complain na yung mga Climate Change Commission, palagi rin sila sa abroad kasi marami silang kasi ang disaster, this environmental problems, they always require, it's more of not local, it's more of international. Kasi ang mga very active dito sa mga ganitong problema on environment are the foreign countries. It's not as popular in the Philippines. So, from my experience as a practitioner of environment and natural resources, parang ang mas particular dito are the foreigners, hindi yung Pilipinas. In fact, ako yata lang ang mahilig sa Pilipinas na gumawa ng project. Pero marami talaga international. And our benefactors are all foreign countries. Nagbibigay sila sa atin ng fund, ng loans for this kind of projects. Parang very concerned sila about the environment.
So, Mr.
Kaya palaging foreign. In fact, if you will look at the funds being given to us to promote disaster resilience and this other environmental project, it's always foreign funded. Hindi malaki ang ibinibigay ng foreigners than what we include in our GAA.
Okay, Mr. President, Madam Sponsor, so may I get a list of those you did mention about funds that were given to us by foreign countries where our DNR Secretary visited? And thank you, Madam Sponsor. Thank you, Mr. President. My next question then, nagkaroon ho ba ng policy directions na binigay ang DNR Secretary after her trip abroad? Because that was what the people on the ground, especially yung mga regional directors, were waiting upon the arrival of the DNR Secretary. Nagkaroon ba ng policy changes? Nagkaroon ba ng department order as a result of that na naging beneficial po? Hindi lamang po sa DNR main office, sa core group, kung tawagin, kundi maging sa pangkalahatan, so to speak. Mr. President.
Mr. President, every time she goes abroad, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, they have a meeting afterwards with the core group of the DNR, especially the USEC and the Philippine delegation who came with her, and they talk about it in their in the General Assembly and flag ceremony and in the meeting of the group. The managing group of the DNR.
Flag ceremony, that's right. That's exactly what my sources did mention to me. Aside from the conference and the flag ceremony where the DNR Secretary did speak about her trip abroad, ang gusto ko lang po talaga malaman at gusto ko malaman ng mga taga-DNR executives sa iba't ibang probinsya ay kung meron po ba yung concrete na policy directions that were given to them in black and white saying na we have to do this because of my foreign trips. Ito po yung nakita ko na pwede natin pakinabangan. Ito yung department order that I have to issue because I found out na we really need this and that, etc. So meron po bang ganon? Yung po kasing nire-request sa akin noong mga lumapit sa akin ng mga taga-DNR. And I'm just telling you what they were asking me. President, Madam Sponsor.
Mr. President, they said, the department says that whatever orders, DNR orders and policies, yung mga nakuha nila sa kanilang foreign trips are incorporated. It's not, hindi na nila sinasabi definitely what foreign conference, but it is included in their formulation of policies and DNR orders to their management and the employees of DNR.
Kaya Mr. President, Madam Sponsor, ayoko na maging makulit. Ang kailangan po, concrete something in black and white na nagbunga po sa biyahe ni DNR Secretary Loizaga at siya po ay nakapag-issue ng mga memorandum order or department order or meron pong policy directions given to each and everyone sa iba't ibang region na may mga problema. Yun po yung gustong malaman nito mga regional director kasi so far wala raw po talaga sa tatanggap, although tama po yung binanggit ninyo sa flag ceremony raw, doon binabanggit nga pag sa mga forum, sa core group, doon nababanggit yung foreign trips. Ang gusto kasi malaman ng mga taga-DNR mismo, saan na yung makikita namin na nagbunga yung kanyang foreign trips. Kasi po medyo nagtatampo po yung mga opisyal sa DNR na
Mga financial technical support.
wala silang napapala doon sa foreign trips na pwede naman i-delegate kung tutuusin. Siguro may advice to the DNR Secretary next time, paki-delegate na lang po siguro sa inyong mga matataas na opisyal dyan sa DNR, yung mga foreign trips mo. Baka pwede pagtunan nyo na lang po yung mga problema sa DNR na mamaya babanggitin ko kung ano-ano itong mga seryosong problema na pwede nyo tututukan versus kayo po yung mag-abroad. Yan po ang aking humble, unsolicited advice. Base po yan sa request ng inyong mga kasamahan sa DNR.
Mr. President, they have done policy reforms because of these conferences. With regards to water, they push for the creation of the Water Resources Management Office, and they also gathered financial and technical support for their environmental projects. We have here the funding for projects not covered by GAA, Memorandum of Understanding with the Japanese and U.S. government, Global Environmental Facility with EU under the Green Economy Program, and the ADB and World Bank support. These are the things which they got because of their representation in the conferences abroad.
Thank you, Mr. President, Madam Sponsor. Para mas mapaiksi tayo, mapabilis. Ang hinaing kasi ng mga regional directors or people doon sa grounds, especially sa mga provinces, imbis kasi one of the reasons kung bakit pupunta sa abroad, yung DNR Secretary natin, siguro is climate change, to mitigate the effects of climate change, etc., etc. And why don't we go to the basics? Siguro tutukan na lang natin yung mga problema tulad ng pagtatanim ng mga puno, yung National Greening Program, hindi po natututukan yun. Meron po tayong 2-point-something billion every year budget for that. That will be my next question. Anyway, let's move on na po.
With regards to the National Greening
Mamaya na po yun,
Program,
Madam.
can I answer that,
Okay,
the National Greening Program? With the National Greening Program, I have asked them to assign the greening program except the one for yung mga yung mga native yung for the IPs to transfer them to the legislated protected area. Kasi every legislated protected area in the Philippines have what you call protected area management board. So the protected area management board is composed of, if there's a senator there, congressman, the mayor, and the representative of the barangay, the NGO, and the DNR. They are the ones who compose the Protected Area Management Board, and they supervise the activities in the legislated protected area. So I asked them to transfer, kasi palaging question do sa National Greening Program, saan ba nag-green? Ito, kung nilagay mo sa legislated protected area, which numbers 114 in the Philippines, covering 4.5 million hectares, may tuturo mo na doon inilagay yung mga National Greening Program, and it will be managed by the Protected Area Management Board, except yung para sa IPs, kasi not necessarily yung mga IPs nakatira sa protected areas. Yun ang aming strategy sa
Yes.
greening program.
Strategy.
We know that it is very important because it is the solution to our problem with climate change. Kasi yung climate change nagiging mainit, so dumadami yung tubig. Minsan kailangan may mga puno para makontrol yung pag-flow ng water from the mountains to the people. So, yun ang tawag niyan, reforestation and taking care of the forest para ma-mitigate ang climate change.
Thank you, Mr. President and Madam Sponsor. FYI, yung binabanggit niyo po kanina, Madam Sponsor, yan yung pang 6 topic. Nasa 1 pa lang tayo. We will go to that.
Okay.
Extensively,
And
I promise.
we want also to tell you what are the local trips of our DNR chief. Meron
trips.
silang MANCOM sa Clark,
Okay.
tapos multi-sector forum sa Mindanao, sa Visayas, Mindoro Oil Spill, Palawan El Nido, Siargao, Pag-asa Island in Palawan, Puerto Princesa, Baguio, Iloilo, and Bataan.
Okay. Well, pinag-usapan rin natin yung local trips. Nung second or third quarter this year, the DNR Secretary was expected to visit Nueva Vizcaya. In fact, after Nueva Vizcaya, she was set to go to Santiago City, Isabela. Hinihintay po siya ng mga taga-DNR doon sa Santiago at hindi po natuloy. But anyway, you can
what
deny
is
it if you want.
may I ask what is the concern of Nueva Vizcaya and
Oceana Gold.
Isabela?
Oceana Gold Mining.
Oceana Gold
Yes.
Mining.
She was set to visit Oceana Gold Mining. Kasama po yung may-ari ng Oceana Gold para doon sa expand nung permit ng Oceana Gold. But anyway, mamaya pa ulit yan. Nasa pangatlong topic yan. Nasa first topic pa lamang po tayo. Oceana Gold. Mag-helicopter pa ata si DNR Secretary kasama yung may-ari ng Oceana Gold na Australian-Canadian.
Oh.
According to my source. Kaya
But
lang din natuloy-
the secretary decided not to go.
not to go. Okay. So, bakit po sana kayo sasama?
Medyo controversial din kasi ang Oceana Gold.
Exactly.
Ayaw ng local government
Ayaw.
dyan eh.
Pero nakaschedule na po sana yon.
Siguro ayaw din ni secretary na maging masabi na kasama niya yung Oceana Gold and she is supportive of Oceana Gold.
In the first place, dapat hindi siya pumapayag sa umpisa pa lamang. Sana po hindi na-schedule. Kasi po nakaredy na po yung mga taga Nueva Vizcaya, nakaredy na po yung mga taga Santiago DNR. Meron pa siyang welcoming committee kung ano pa pong mga ginawa para sa pag-welcome sa kanya. Hindi lang palang tuloy kasi naka-schedule na po yun. Sana, kung alam niyo pong controversial yun, tinanong daw niyo agad.
Baka
from
yung
the-
nag-prepare ng welcoming committee is yung Oceana Gold. Kasi hindi daw niya alam na
Okay.
she has to go to
Alright. Sige,
that
okay na tayo
place. Oh.
Now, let's move on. Alis na tayo sa foreign trips. Let's go to black sand mining.
Saan
Talamak
ito?
po yung black sand mining ngayon sa Pilipinas. Nagkalat po yan sa iba't ibang lugar. Zambales, Cagayan, Ilocos, Mindoro, etc. Now, ang nasisira dito yung river, shoreline, and offshore. Ang pinagtataka ko, Madam Sponsor, why are we not doing anything, the DNR, to stop this? Kasi po, ito po yung modus operandi ng mga operator. Sila lang po kumikita rito at hindi po kumikita yung ating bayan. Pinapalabas na quarrying and dredging. So therefore, all they need is a permit from the LGU para sa tinatawag nilang dredging para mapalawak yung river. Pero wag ka, nagba-black sand mining na pala sila. At marami po silang nakukuha na black sand at itong pinakamatindi. Yung pong mga mangingisda nga natin, tinataboy na po sa West Philippine Sea ng Chinese Coast Guard. Nag-encroach na po sila sa ating teritoryo sa West Philippine Sea. And now yung ating mineral at natural resources tulad ng black sand, dinadala natin sa China because a majority of this black sand mining goes to China. At ang kumikita lang, China and the operator. And the government doesn't make a single penny, except of course sa LGU na nabibigyan ng bahagi dito sa pamagitan ng taxation and of course pagkukuha ng permit. Kaya lang ginagamit nga kanina, sabi ko, quarrying and dredging. That's the modus operandi. So,
gusto lang hon sabihin ng DNR sa inyo that the DNR never issued government permit with this. It's the local government
I know, I
ang
said-
nag-issue ng local permit.
Mr. President, Madam Sponsor, I did not say the government. I said the LGU.
Yes.
Kaya nga, ang gusto kong mangyari sana, kung talagang pro-environment po ang ating DNR Secretary, then I challenge her na mag-issue na po ng Department Order to stop this kabulastugan na minimina po ang ating black sand dito sa Pilipinas at dinadala sa China. Why don't we put a stop to this? Can you do that?
Sila po ay nagpunta na sa Pag-asa Island to establish the Philippine DNR presence there to increase our monitoring of this black sand mining. So, ipinapromise po sa iyo ng DNR that they have made the presence felt and they will try to stop this black sand mining.
Is that right?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Hindi nga. Hindi nga. Walang biroan po. Mr. President, Madam Sponsor, totoo ba? Hindi ba kayo nagbibiro? Kasi kapag kayo po ay panindigan yan, sasamahan ko po kayo. Lantarang po nagkakaroon ng black sand mining dyan sa Zambales. Alam ko po yung mga site. Gusto niyo po bukas na bukas, puntahan po natin yun at mapapahiya po ang DNR. Puntahan
Hindi
po
po.
natin yung site sa Cagayan at puntahan po natin yung site sa Ilocos, sa Mindoro, mapapahiya po kayo. Sabi niyo monitoring, puro na lang monitoring. Ang gusto ko po, hindi monitoring, implementation, hulihin kung talagang ayaw niyo po magkaroon ng black sand mining. Huwag yung po puro monitoring kasi madaling gamitin yung salita monitoring. Ang sa akin po, dapat meron pong aksyon. Na yung sinasabi niyo, na wala kayo nakikita, then tomorrow,
Hindi, may nakikita sila, alam nila. Kaya lang, ang nagbibigay ng permit is yung local government.
I know.
And supported by the local government.
exactly, Mr. President.
Gusto nila na tulungan sila ng DILG kasi ang ikokontrolin mo yung local government.
Exactly, Mr. President, Madam Sponsor. Dapat mag-issue ng MPSA, yung Mineral Production Sharing Agreement, nang sa gayon makinabang po yung ating gobyerno, yung ating bayan. And then magpalabas ng Department Order ang DNR na kailangan may MPSA ang lahat na nagba-black sand mining, aka quarrying or dredging, at kapag halimbawa hindi po sumunod at patuloy pa yung ginagawa yon, so implementation-wise, pwede na pong gamitin dyan yung power ng ating DILG to the PNP para pag-uhulihin sila. And we can also use the Bureau of Customs because yan po ini-export sa China.
Sabi po ng DNR, yung local government, DILG daw, local government ang nag-i-issue ng permit dyan. According to the rules, 5 hectares and below, local government. Sila daw, wala pa silang nai-issue permit dyan.
Kaya-
It's always the local government.
Thank you, Madam Sponsor. Thank you, Mr. President. Then in that case, meron po dyan sa Zambales na more than 5 hectares. Then bakit hindi nyo po puntahan yon? Ang point ko rito, kung talagang pro-environment ang ating DNR Secretary, mag-issue siya ng Department Order, I challenge her, na saying there is now an order putting a stop to all black sand mining. Blah, 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 blah.
They cannot daw stop 5 hectares and below. They can only stop yung more than 5 hectares because it is the power of the local government to issue 5 hectares and below. So if it can be determined that it's more than 5 hectares, then they can stop it.
Go to Zambales and you can see that
Baka ginagawa po nila, ini-issuehan nila pa 5 hectares para under the DILG. Tapos hindi, iba-iba ang pangalan.
okay
Kasi,
nga. Mr. President, Madam Sponsor, so alam niyo yung modus. So alam niyo pala yung modus, so bakit di niyo po buwagin yung modus na yan? Kayo po mismo nagsabi from your mouth na iniiba-iba yung portion, hinahati-hati.
So
Para
they promise to
mapasok.
work with DILG and DPWH to be able to enforce that.
But for the meantime, Mr. President, Madam Sponsor, mag-issue ng Department Order ang DNR kung talagang pro-environment sila, stating na yung black sand mining is illegal from now on at wala na pong magba-black sand mining dito sa Pilipinas using the pretext na yun ay quarrying or dredging at yung mga hindi sumunod ay huhulihin because right now, like I said for the second time, ini-export po to sa China. Ang nakikinabang po yung China.
Alam naman natin lahat yan.
Exactly, alam po natin yung Madam Sponsor.
Yeah, but,
so what are we going to do about it kung alam na natin?
So they will issue daw a department order
Thank you.
prohibiting black sand mining according to the
Thank you.
law. Oh,
Yes,
and then,
according to the law.
kung halimbawa magpalusot yung local government, then they have to coordinate with DILG and DPWH to stop that practice of the local government. Common knowledge naman po na talaga may gusto nito local government.
Good. So, if I heard it right, sabi po ninyo, Madam Sponsor, Mr. President, so mag-issue na po Department Order ang DNR banning black sand mining in the Philippines.
Okay.
Did I hear it right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. I'll take your word for it. And gusto ko pong makita yung pong ipapalabas ng Department Order. Give me a copy of it. And everybody's gonna be happy.
Ito kayo nat-implement.
Even the Filipino people. Okay, let's move on. Foreign trips, black sand mining. Okay. And
Kayo, bari din po na kayo.
saan niyo pong gusto unahin ko? Oceana Gold o National Greening Program? National Greening Program.
Oh, national greening, di ba sinagot na kita?
Hindi pa po. Hindi pa po. Masyadong bitin po yung sagot.
O sige, at magtanong ka tungkol sa national greening.
2
Ako very
billion.
particular ako sa national greening
good.
because I practice it.
Yes. Nice. 2 billion pesos annually ang budget po para sa National Greening Program since 2011, if I'm not mistaken. Ang gusto ko pong malaman ngayon,
Ilan
ay
ang
bigyan po tayo ng audit report tungkol po doon sa mga natanim na yung before and after, maybe a drone picture. Before, na nagtaroon ng pananim, and after. And I need to see na talagang yung at ilang percentage ang mga tinatanim na similya ang naging successful at tumutubo at nagiging puno.
Yung National Greening Program po, 1.2 billion iniwan natin sa IPs. Kasi sinasabi nila meron silang talagang program with the IPs. Ay ayaw naman nating apihin yung mga IPs. And at the same time, nilipat natin sa ating legislated protected area and the rest of the budget. Ngayon po, nag-devise kami ng way how to manage the legislated protected area kasi hindi po nila kayang i-finance lahat yung protector ng legislated protected area kasi ang budget nila maliit. And besides, from my experience, yung mga nagbabantay, minsan bantay sa lakay din yun eh. Oo. Kaya we have devised a way that they will build a headquarter na may drone na i-operate ng DNR dun sa mga legislated protected area. Remember, some legislated protected area are very big. So, ido-drone na lang at mare-record dun sa printing nung mga ng drone para makita natin. And kung maging successful kami dito, pakikita sa iyo, Senator Tulfo, yung product ng drone, kung ano yung... Kasi we want to monitor what's happening in the protected area. So, naisip namin na drone technology na lang kasi mahirap yung magbabantay. Minsan kasi yung nagbabantay, bantay sa lakay. Oo. So, mag-create sila ng... each protected area and office, may mga equipment sila, tapos ido-drone, tapos mare-record dun sa mga equipment dito sa kanilang headquarters for the legislated protected area.
Thank you, Mr. President, Madam Sponsor. Ang kailangan ko po ay yung pong before and after
Yeah.
na picture. Kasi
We will do
we started
that.
at 2011 and then dapat yung target is up to 2016. Yan po ay ma-accomplish na. Marami na pong puno maitanim. And then minove yan up to 2024 at 2025. Ang gusto ko po ngayon na mismo, right here, right now, provide me a drone picture of the before and after. I understand and I appreciate allocating 1.2 billion para sa IPs, para sila na po magtanim. Pero paano po natin ma-monitor na yung 1.2 talaga ay napunta sa IPs at yung 1.2 billion talaga ay naitanim? Yun po yung point ko. So can we get an audit report? And first of all, let's start to ilang percentage ba doon sa 2 billion na mga tinanim na seeds, whether binigay sa IPs o hindi? Ilan doon ang naging successful at naging puno at ilan doon ang namatay? Ilang percentage? Because based on that, doon natin makalkula kung successful ba itong greening program and para malaman din natin kung talagang merong mga natanim na mga puno. Kasi napakalaking budget to, Mr. President, Madam Sponsor, 2 billion something every single year. So I
Sabi
need a
po
drone
nila, meron daw silang satellite picture provided by the NAMRIA and the Forest Management Bureau that there was an increase of 5% from 2011 to 2020 by satellite. So you can ask, I'll ask them to give you the satellite picture of this 5% from 2011 to 2020.
So how many, Madam Sponsor? 5% po ang
5% ang increase ng
5% lang since 2011. It's now 2023 and 2 billion a year ang allocated budget. 5% lang. 2 billion a year and only 5% ang na-meet na target.
ang National Greening
kung 2
Program
billion,
daw
11,
po yung seedlings
12 years, sorry, Mr. President, Madam Sponsor, 12 years na sa 2 billion each. So how much would that? 24 billion and only 5%
ilan
ang na-meet na target.
5%, how many?
Mr. President, Madam Sponsor, 5%.
So you can
And then ito po yung average survival ng national greening program for 2011.
85%. Sabi nila ang survival rate daw ng seedlings for the National Greening Program is 78%. And nag-increase yung forest cover by 5%. Ibig sabihin, hindi nila nabibilang by trees, but yung satellite nakikita, the area increased by 5% from 2011 to 2020.
Still, that's not enough. And yung sinasabi ko po kanina, Madam Sponsor, dapat bago kayo magtanim, pipicturean niyo po through satellite or drone yung pong area na tataniman ninyo. Ito yung area na kalbo. This was before. Okay? Let's say 2016. Ito po yung lupa. And then 2018, ito na po siya ngayon. 2023, ito na po siya ngayon. Yung before and after, bago sana kayo magtanim, dapat pinipicturean niyo po yung pong area na kalbo.
So dito po sa record, yung forest cover statistics, magkaiba to, ha?
Yes, magkaiba nga.
O Oh, ito.
2010 to 2015.
So from 2010 to 2015, 177,000 hectares ang na-increase ng forest cover. From 2015 to 2020, 212,000 hectares. So a total of 177 at saka 212. For 10 years, it's 177, 389, which is about 5%, more than 5%, 5.6% of the forest cover.
Okay, thank you, Madam Sponsor, Mr. President. Madali lang po kasi magbigay ng data, ng
No,
numero.
geotag daw ito. Not only pictures, geotag.
Mas maganda po kasi talaga ang picture kasi iba yung nakikita eh. Kailangan po talaga merong clear picture. Satellite man yan o
Meron
drone
kayong
picture ng before and after.
They have daw satellite picture of this.
So can we see that? Yung from the time we started the program, 2011, and then now 2023, what has been accomplished? Dapat papakita po yung before and
We
after.
will submit to you the satellite images from
Okay.
this
So
from
we need
this
to see that
forest cover na
The before and after.
Yes, before
Hindi
and
po
after.
yung 5%, hindi po yung mga data.
Oo, yeah,
So
yeah.
kapag hindi po kayo nakapag-submit yan, I will defer the budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lahat po ito based sa picture.
They have now a partnership with the U.S. Forestry Service, and they help them to do this satellite measurement of our forest cover. So it's not only DNR, but we have a partner, the U.S. Forest Service.
Ilan percent po ba ang ngayon ang accomplish ninyo? 5% pa lang ba since it was since it
For
started?
10 years, 5
5%.
point,
Percent. So kailan niyo po
63%.
ma-accomplish yung 100%?
dodoblehin.
So dodoblein another 10 years, so 10% pa lang yun. Kasi 5% so far in 10 years, so another 10 years, 20 years, so 10% pa lamang. So hindi pa, yung mga marami sa atin dito, patay na siguro, wala na sa mundong ito, saka pa lang accomplish 100%. Kasi 5% every 10 years, so that would be 100 years para maging 100%.
Yung 1 million, gaano katagal yung tatapos? Their target is 1 million hectares for next year. Hopefully daw may mga partners na sasama sa kanila so that they can accomplish more. But yun ang tentative target nila, 1 million hectares.
1 million hectares, and out of that 1 million hectares, ilang percentage yan doon sa
No, ang
target?
target nila, 1 million hectares.
1 million hectares in the next 10 years?
No, next year.
Next year. Kasi ang sabi niyo
They're
po-
trying to find partners who will help them to...
So with that 1 million hectares, Mr. President, Madam Sponsor, with that, pag na-accomplish 1 year, 1 million, so 100% na kayo sa
Hindi
target?
pa rin. Kasi ang
No,
total
please don't give me
is,
the figures, 1 million, 2 million. Yung sa percentage lang po. Kasi sabi niyo po, 5% 10 years ago, since sa 2011, more than 10 years ago. And then I ask you, paano yung succeeding target, sabi niyo, another 5% after another 10 years. So parang lumilitaw sa akin, sa pagkakaintindi ko po, 5% every 10 years. So sa 20 years, 10% pa lamang. Sa 30 years, 15% pa lamang. And so on. So parang 5%
noong
every decade.
2011 daw to 2023, the target area is 2 million hectares. The actual area planted is 2.2 million hectares. So they accomplished 109% from 2011 to 2023.
O naging 100% na, kanina 5%. So ganito na lang po, para mapaiksi tayo at nakakaya naman sa iba, nag-antay na rito yung mga gusto mag-interpret. Give us before and after na lang po.
Actual area planted. They're total planted, not all of them survive. But this is the target planting. And this one is the forest cover. Kasi yung forest cover, hindi nila binibilang yung trees. Yung tinitingnan lang nila how the forest cover has increased by satellite.
Well, ang bibilangin po dapat yung mga tinanim, yung mga seeds.
So
na
they
tinanim.
will be submitting the satellite.
Yes, the before and
this.
after po.
Oo, before and
So,
after.
before it was
Okay.
planted, and then after the plantation of these trees. So, makikita po niya muna kalbo yung area, and then after several years, puno na yung area. And I need the coordinates of that, longitude, latitude. So, para pwede yung namin mapuntahan to verify.
Yeah. Yeah, they will provide the satellite images. They have that. Oh.
Very good. Sige. Last question. Sa National Greening Program, meron ho bang budget allocated sa NCR? Meron daw po eh.
Kami po sa NCR, kami na lang ang nagtatanim.
Napo.
Hindi. Kasi alam nyo, mayayaman naman ng mga local governments sa NCR. So kung gusto nila talaga, they can spend for
Mr.
it.
President, Madam
Oo.
Sponsor,
Ang dapat bibigyan natin yung mga probinsya.
Madam Sponsor, Mr. President, I'm asking the Secretary, I'm asking kung meron ho bang nakaalat na budget sa National Greening Program para sa NCR. Just answer yes or no po.
3,940,000 for NCR.
3 million. Okay, 3 million lang. Siguro yan para sa mga ornamentals.
3.9, it's
3.9.
almost 4
I'm just curious, saan po yung 3.9 ginastos sa NCR?
sa NCR. Saan daw
Pwede po
yung
makita,
ginasta?
mapasadahan man lang. Kasi dito po madali makita yan eh. Sabi niyo sa
Saan
Pasig, sa
pinakamalaki?
Samba, Quezon City, sa Tondo, sa Payatas, saan po? Give us the location para mabilis po namin makita.
Saan daw dinala tong 3.9 million? Walang planting.
Sa lamesa dati po tayo sa lamesa.
Nasaan yun?
Mangrove. Nabotas. Lamesa yung mangrove na area natin. Lamesa.
Sa Lamesa Dam daw po dinala yung majority, and at the same time planting of mangrove along I think Navotas and Las Piñas Parañaque Wetland Park.
Okay. Again, can I get a copy of the before and after?
Yes.
At like a
yes,
picture?
they will provide.
Okay, thank you.
And there is a rule in NCR, because I practice it, that if you kasi sometimes gumagawa kami ng kalye, we had to tear down we had to cut trees. I remember I cut 16 trees. I'm required to plant 50 trees per tree nut I cut. So I planted 900 trees in replacement of 16 trees that pinatay ko dahil nagawa ako ng road, ng 500-meter road. And then, the NR asked me to donate din sa Lamesa Dam. In addition, dun sa 900 trees na itinanim ko, to replace yung 16 na pinutol to make way for a road. So, may mga rules silang ganun eh, na hindi naman lahat sila ang magtatanim. Nire-require din nila yung mga tao na magtanim in replacement of what they have cut. Oo. So, may ganung rule din. Kaya hindi lang itong 3.9 ang magagasta. Katulad namin mga private, we have to do it in order to be able to build the road.
Thank you, Mr. President, Madam Sponsor. Let's move on to the political cadastral survey, political boundary survey.
Yeah.
Okay, my question is, 2010 and 2015, na-conduct po yung political cadastral survey. Marami pong problema ngayon sa different LGUs, different provinces, cities, municipalities, dahil hindi po naging maayos yung pong ginawang pagbigay ng technical assistance ng TNR sa pag-survey. Paano po nyo susolve itong conflict ngayon, TNR?
From what they gave us as briefer, they will just follow the law. Oo, kung ano yung provision ng law, they will follow it. Like for example, what happened in ano tawag dito, Taguig and Makati, well, they will follow what was yung Supreme Court ruling doon. They will
Yes,
just
I
follow.
understand, Mr. President,
Oo.
Madam Sponsor. Pero habang maaari, dapat maiwasan natin yung dalhin sa korte, yung mga kaso para hindi na po humaba. Nag-umpisa po yan sa mga taga-DNR, at I will mention to you the modus operandi, bakit po nagkakaproblema, nagkakabulbul po dyan po sa Political Cadastral Survey. Ito po dapat ang tinututukan ng ating butihing Secretary ng DNR versus travel siya sa abroad na maraming beses. Now, di ba dapat pagdating po sa political survey, but first of all, I'll ask the Secretary, paano ho ba kinakanda yung political cadastral survey sa bawat municipality or province? How is it being done? I want an expert to answer me, please.
Ikaw katulad nito.
The process,
Kasi may mga technical description naman. Okay.
if I may add, Mr. President, Madam Sponsor,
Yes.
sa ngayon, we have more than a dozen, maybe 50, 60, or even 100 na mga municipalities, cities, and provinces na nagkakaproblema dahil dito po sa maling pagkagawa ng political cadastral survey. So, ang tatanungin ko ngayon, bakit nagkakaproblema? Paano ba yung process para ma-enlighten po yung mga taga-LGU ngayon na nakikinig, maaari makarinig nito? Because sila po mismo ay nalilito din.
Normally, meron siyang
The process po.
just fact. You can conduct actual survey.
DNR gives technical assistance to LGUs in the settlement of boundary dispute. Usually naman yan, in the creation of the city, may mga provision, tapos meron namang titulo, and they just help in determining the boundary. Meron sila yung land director, yung land management bureau, ito po yung trabaho noon, to help the LGUs determine the political boundary of the area of that particular LGU, and they give technical assistance to LGU.
I know, Madam President, Mr. President, Madam Sponsor, I know
May
that.
basis naman to eh, may
But
basis.
can we get more technical? Kasi yan po yung gustong marinig ng mga taga-LGU. Paano po nag-uumpisa? Paano po ginagawa? Halimbawa po, say, yung Quirino province, gusto niya pong magpagawa ng cadastral survey. Paano po inumpisahan yon? Let's say, kaumpisa pa lamang.
Susulat sa inyo, di ba? Hindi nga. Oo. Susulat sila sa DNR to
Okay.
ask for technical assistance,
Okay.
and the Bureau of Land Management Bureau will conduct the survey based on the papers ng pagka-create ng local government. So they are willing to provide the technical assistance.
Based on the charter.
Yes,
that-
charter.
The creation of that municipality or
Basta
province.
sumulat lang sila sa
And who does the survey on the ground?
They can do it themselves, but if it's difficult, they can contract out. But
Exactly.
but the DNR will pay, di ba?
DNR will pay. Very good. And DNR is a good payer. Now, let's go doon sa kinokontrata, binibid po. Yung pong pagsasurvey. Tama?
Binibid po.
Exactly. Now, once it's bidded, yung nanalong bidder, bibigyan po ng mga dokumento ng DNR. How is it going to be surveyed, right?
Yes, yes.
And then, sino pong gumagawa ng survey at sino mga kasama nila dapat sa pagsasurvey?
Yung Land Management Bureau nga ng
And?
DNR.
And?
Oo.
And?
And then, kung matapos, they will show it to the local government if they agree with the findings.
Kulang po. Kulang.
Oh, ano ang kulang?
When they would conduct a survey, let's say Quirino, dapat po yung boundary ng Quirino ng mga ibang probinsya, meron silang coordination sa mga taga-LGU doon at yung po ay mag-observe to make sure na tama po yung ginagawa
That is
nila.
allowed. That is allowed. They can observe. Oo.
Exactly. In this case, karamihan po hindi nangyayari ito kaya nagkakaproblema. Dapat, pag halimbawa sa isang province or municipality, magkakandak sila ng cadastral survey, dapat presence on both sides. Yung masasagasaan, yung madadaanan na boundary, yung representative doon, dapat naroon po
Yeah.
to observe. But hindi po nagagawa ito. And I'll tell you later,
Hindi
Mr.
niyo
President,
ba
Madam
yan
Sponsor, kung bakit hindi.
Eh, ba't sabi niya, hindi niyo ginagawa?
Kasi po, minamadali.
In general daw, they follow the procedures. Hindi nila alam lang na kung may nagdi-disobey ng procedures.
Well, then
But,
dapat po.
they,
Kaya, Mr.
they
President, Madam
follow
Sponsor,
the procedures.
kaya nga para walang mag-disobey, dapat po meron pong supervisor ng DNR present gumagawa ng quality check. Now, if there is, I need a copy of the ground survey at kung sino yung mga supervisor na pumirma to make sure na he or she was present during the survey. Kasi most of the time, wala. At kapag pinake niyang pirma, pakukulong po natin siya.
Sabi nila, under the supervision daw ng DNR regional offices yung nagkakandak ng survey.
Exactly. That's what I said, Mr. President, Madam Sponsor. Dapat paggagawa ng survey, nandoon yung DNR, yung supervisor, nandoon po yung nagpapasurvey na LGU, at nandoon din po yung mga taga-LGU na nakaka-boundary nung sinesurvey. Nang sa gayon, right there and then, ma-resolve na po yung issue tungkol po sa encroachment. Kasi most of the time, gumagawa po ng survey, let's say, sa isang province, na hindi po nagpapasintabi doon sa mga boundary. So nagkakaroon po ng encroachment. And then later on, nagkakadimandahan na. Samantalang kung nandoon sila, right there and then, ma-resolve na po agad yung problema sa encroachment kasi pwede sila mag-usap-usap at magpasa silang resolution hanggang sa ma-resolve po yung issue na hindi na kailangan pumunta sa korte. At hindi po nangyari yan.
Alam nyo, in practice, matitigas din ang ulo ng local government. Hindi ko mo sinabi nila na ganito ang findings, mag-a-agree sila.
Mr. President,
Kasi,
Madam,
syempre gusto nila mas malaki ang area nila as much as
Oh.
possible kahit na mali na. I mean, from my experience sa local
So are you saying
government.
matitigas ang ulo lahat ng mga governors and mayors sa
Hindi naman.
probinsya?
Yung mga nagkakaproblema, medyo i-insist nila yung gusto nila. May ano din sila very assertive din sila, especially in areas where they are
Mr. President,
elected. Oo.
Madam Sponsor, no, I don't think so. In fact, the LGUs, they would prefer na nandun sila present, both sides, para may square off agad yung problem. Kung meron man, ma-iron out any kinks along the way habang gumagawa ng survey. Kaso hindi nga raw po sila naimbitahan. Nagugulat na lang po sila, tapos na po yung cadastral survey. Samantalang hindi naman po sila napagsabihan. Wala raw pong pasintabi sa kanila. Sila po yung sa boundary nitong ginagawa ng survey, and then malalaman na lang nila years down the line na nagkaroon ng encroachment, nagkakadimandahan.
Alam
hindi
nyo,
po nasunod yung
this
tamang
is a
process.
common problem. In fact, in our city, yung boundary ng barangay, pinag-aawayan din. I mean,
Because pumapalpak po, Mr. President, pumapalpak po kasi yung DNR, it's the fault of the DNR. It's not the LGU. Hindi po dahil matitigas ang ulo ng mga taga-LGU, dahil matitigas po ang ulo ng taga-DNR, dahil meron corrupt dyan sa DNR, and I'll tell you who those people are.
okay. Alam nyo, corruption is everywhere. It can
Okay.
be in the department, it can be in the local government.
Exact-
Pare-pareho lang yan.
Kaya nga,
Oo.
kasi-
Kaya nga, we have to compromise. Pero sabi daw nila, in most of the cases, nag-a-agree naman. Bihira lang daw yung nag-aaway.
So, give me a list of provinces and municipalities and cities na nagkakaroon po ng problema ngayon sa cadastral survey, political cadastral survey.
They have a list and they will give you a list.
And what is the present status? We will give us a list, right? And what is your
Tinatanong
plan?
niya kung ilan ang ilan?
Ano po yung plano?
Ilan ang may problema? Tinatanong niya, you're asking how many towns and cities and
And provinces.
provinces
How many?
which are having problem with their boundaries.
Yes, is it
Diba?
50?
Yun ang intindi ko sa question
Yes,
niyo.
yes, exactly.
Oh, ilan?
Madam Sponsor, Mr. President. Is it 100, 200?
They will submit to you. They cannot give me today, but they will submit to you. Ilan? Approximately ilan? Do you have an idea? Sabi nila at least 10 daw. Pero they will submit.
No, not only 10, more than that. I think 50 or more.
Okay, we will submit.
Okay, thank you.
I-submit mo.
Now, Madam Sponsor, Mr. President, paano po ginawa yung cadastral survey sa Mindanao at saka sa Maguindanao? Kasi I've heard na wala raw pong dumarating doon na mga contractor on the ground para gumawa ng survey, so paper survey lang daw pong ginawa. Kapag meron po nagsabing contractor na he or she was there, kasama po yung mga taga-DNR supervisor, and I would like to see that guy put him or her here at put her or him in under oath.
Sabi nila it was contracted out and the money was downloaded to BARM.
Exactly. Yun nga po
Oh,
sinasabi ko.
baka hindi ginamit ng BARM. Oo.
Well, then-
But the money was downloaded
Downloaded.
to BARM.
Pero di ba sa patakaran dapat meron pong testigo nagsusupervise mga taga-DNR. Yun po yung patakaran, Madam Sponsor, Mr. President. Nandoon yung taga-DNR nagsusupervise because they are the one who's bidding out the contract. So, part sa protocol na they should be there to make sure na the survey is being done physically and not paper survey lang.
Meron daw kasing sariling Ministry of Environment ang BARM. Kaya they have to download it to
Okay.
that ministry.
All right. Let's say, alisin po natin yung BARM. Give me some cadastral survey done in certain parts of Mindanao na hindi po kasama sa BARM. Meron ba? Like Cagayan de Oro?
Region 9 daw, Region 10.
Yes.
Oh, nasa
I need samples of those.
sample daw.
Yes. Bigyan po ako na
Hindi,
gumawa ng
ano,
cadastral survey.
Sabihin mo na ngayon, ba't hindi mo alam?
And then yung mga nakapirma po doon,
Oh, sino yung sa Region 9? Mag-sample ka daw, Region 9, 10. Ako sabi, specific, puro isasabit. Ay, na kasi na isasabit. Gusto niya mag-example. So, yun ang last. What place? Eh, bakit wala ngayon? Walang nag-question ngayon? After the... Eh, sino gumawa ng tabi? Kahit na gano'n, sabihin niyo, yung balang nangyari. In your region. Oh, ito sa'yo. Ano? Hindi nyo alam. Kaya nagagalit sa regional director.
okay, para mapaiksi po tayo, isubmit nyo na lang po sa akin, Mr. President, Madam Sponsor,
Payag ba ito na ang last survey nila?
yung mga hinihingi ko pong data, so we can move on.
Gusto niya mag-example daw. They're willing to submit
Thank you.
your data that you
Thank
the
you.
data you are asking.
Alright, ito po, okay. Thank you, Mr. President, Madam Sponsor. Ito po yung sinasabi kanina kung saan po yung korupsyon sa cadastral survey. After na makapag-bid out po, may bid out po yung gagawin political survey at mabibigay po sa nanalong bidder, contractor. Kadalasan po, ito pong kadalasan nangyayari, bibigyan po yung pong surveyor ng table survey sa kayong charter ng nagpapasurvey, the creation of that province or municipality. Dito na po ngayon pumapasok yung corruption. Minamadali, ang sasabihin ngayon doon sa contractor, kasi bago po maaprubahan ng DNR yung ginawang survey ng contractor, the DNR has to sign. Tama? Ultimately, the DNR has to sign at inaprubahan yung ginawang survey ng contractor. You agree? Kasi pag hindi po pinirmahan ng DNR, ibig sabihin hindi siya nag-agree doon sa ginawang cadastral survey, hindi mababayaran yung contractor.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes.
Dito po ngayon tumataga po yung DNR ng 30% commission. So let's say 50 million yung pong contract para sa cadastral survey. Now, bago ibibigay yung, bago pipirmahan niya ng DNR kung sino pipirma doon, that DNR personnel will ask for a percentage, at least 30%. Yung iba medyo mabait daw, 25%. Ito po ay nakuha ko mismo sa ilang kontraktor, itong information na ito. So naging SOP daw po ay 25 to 30% commission bago po pirmahan yung cadastral survey na ginawa ng kontraktor. Kasi kung hindi magbibigay ng commission, hindi pipirmahan at hindi mababayaran si kontraktor.
Ang manifestation po nila, Senator, Mr. President, is mag-file, bigay daw nila yung formal complaint nito and then they will prosecute yung tao ng DNR.
That's the reason, paulit-ulit kong sinasabi kanina, meron talaga dapat on the ground yung supervisor na sumasama po sa pagsisurvey, na nag-check po sa mga documents, make sure na properly monitored yung lahat ng galaw doon sa cadastral survey nang sa hindi mapasukan ng korupsyon. Ang nangyayari po kasi sa tuwing survey, cadastral survey, palaging absent po yung supervisor ng DNR para i-monitor po yung the whole process of the survey being conducted. Yun lang po muna. Okay. Now, lapit-lapit na po tayo.
Sana po may mag-complain para naman in fairness to the management of DNR sa taas, maka-prosecute sila para ma-discourage.
Yes.
Kasi alam nyo, pag hindi tayo nag-prosecute or mag-try tayo to teach a lesson, lalo mangyayari yan. Kailangan may maparusahan para ma-discourage yung gagawa niyan.
Yes. But I already told the contractors na dapat sila ay pumunta sa hearing at isasalang ko po sila at sila po ay mapoprotektahan but they turn it down
Yeah.
for reasons na very obvious, which hindi ko po sila pwedeng persahin. Mr. President, Madam Sponsor. Now, pumunta po tayo sa Oceana Gold. Ito pa yung sabi ko kanina na pupunta sana si Madam Secretary doon sa Oceana Gold Mine, pero hindi na siya tumuloy sa helicopter kasi nga may konting skandalo. Ayon po sa Institute for Policy Studies, Mining and Mining Watch of Canada, ito po ay third party from
Di ba yung
abroad.
Oceana Gold is Australian?
Oceana Gold is in Nueva Vizcaya.
Canadian ba? Oceana? Australian-Canadian. Alam ko
Yes, Australian-Canadian. Kaya nga po, yung Mining Watch Canada, okay, mismo, naggawa sila ng investigation and they found out na merong 10 violations ang Oceana Gold na dapat hindi na po ma-renew ang kanilang license. Ang nangyari,
Ma-renew yan?
sa halip na wag na ma-renew, na-expand pa.
Ang nag-renew yata po niyan, national government, DOF. It's not DNR. I remember that eh. Sinabi yan na na-renew yan.
Actually, na-renew to nung bago sa term ni Secretary Loizaga.
Oh, pero hindi rin yung DNR ang nag-renew niya. Presidente, hindi DNR.
I know, but
O kasi ano to eh, very important ano yun eh, kasi relationship natin with Australia and Canada. That's how I knew it, na renew because we want to have good relations with the countries where the investors are coming from.
yeah, we need good relations, Madam President, Mr. President, Madam
Ayun,
Sponsor.
sila
Yeah, we need
nagsasabi
good
na-
relationship with those people abroad, but we need good relationship also with the environment here
Yes.
in our country. Okay. Now, there are so many FTAA violations, grounds for cancellations that were mentioned nga nito pong Mining Watch Canada and Institute for Policy Studies. They found out conformed to laws and regulations regarding, among others, labor safety, demarcation of the exploration contract, etc., recognize and respect the rights, customs, and tradition of indigenous tribal. Number 3, to the extent reasonable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 po grounds for cancellation at para hindi na po sana ma-issue ng ECC dahil yan po ang position ng provincial government ng Nueva Vizcaya.
Yeah.
So, sana po hindi na po na-expand. Ang nangyari po, na-expand pa talaga. Marami na nga pong tumututol, parang adding insult to injury, even the provincial government of
Okay.
Nueva Vizcaya, tumututol na, na wag na mabigyan ng permit, nabigyan, pero it's labas na po sa pay grade siguro ni Secretary ng DNR, pero ang DNR naman ang nagbibigyan ng ECC.
Babasahin ko lang sa inyo yung condition ng renewal. 4 conditions ni require for renewal. And part of the condition came from the provincial government. The company has to relocate its head office to the host LGU. The company has to sell 25% of its gold production to our central bank. Oceana Gold has to put up an additional 1.5% to the Community and Provincial Development Fund over and above the Social Development Management Program. The company has to list with the Philippine Stock Exchange 10%, additional 10% under common shares.
Okay. So natupad po yung sa
Oh,
request
so
ng LGU.
ito po ang condition. So from this, you will realize na nag-require din ang provincial government.
Okay.
Oo.
So-
Kaya sila lumalaban. Gusto lang siguro nila ito na bigyan sila ng 1.5% to the Community and Provincial Development Fund
Okay.
over and above.
Okay.
Oh,
Then let's
They
disregard.
did it. They
Mr.
did
President,
it.
Madam Sponsor, let's disregard for a moment yung sa LGU. How about po yung mga violation tungkol sa water? Toxicity of water, deletion of groundwater, threat to downstream watershed, quantity of water used in the mine, forest, 100% native hardwood trees have died. Ang dami po dito, the list goes on and on. Sa land, illegal conversion. So, marami pong violation.
Sabi po, sino yung nag-conduct ng investigation?
Mineral Industry Coordinating Council engaged
And
The Mineral Industry Development Council, Coordinating Council, engage someone to find out if there is violation with regards to the water issues. And they found out that there is no violation.
buti pa po itong Mining Watch at saka Institute for Policy Studies, nakita po nila yung mga violations na glaring. Sabi ko nga po, 10, mahaba po ito, pwede ko po ibigay sa
Yeah,
kay
yeah.
Secretary to.
We will accept that and
Samantalang
they
yung
have to
DNR,
answer
hindi nyo
that.
nakita yung
Kunin na
violation.
lang.
How come?
Oo. Yung kasing investigation hindi nakita, maybe you can provide that so they will study that.
Yes.
So to see if there is really
I will
guilt.
provide this document and then gusto ko pong malaman kung na-follow ba ito, kung na-satisfied at na-fulfill na po itong mga kinondisyones nitong third party mula sa Canada, ito Mining Watch, and then Institute for Policy Studies, kung na-fulfill. Kapag hindi po na-fulfill at napa-expand pa po yung mining interest ng Oceana Gold at itong open pit mining at lalong lumawak, then i-defer ko po muna ang budget.
Eh, di bang i-defer ang budget?
This is open pit mining. This is open pit mining.
Wala na daw po yung open pit mining ngayon, underground na lang. Wala
If it's underground, then show me
mining.
pictures. Madam Sponsor.
Anong ko istorya na talagang
And if I may add, Mr. President, Madam Sponsor, marami po mga nag-protest. Nasaan yung mga number? Since 2014, wow, ang dami po hindi na mabilang. Landowner protest at DNR against Oceana Gold, mining giant Oceana Gold, fires contractual workers, 15 indigenous people from Nueva Vizcaya and Ifugao. Workers complain unfair treatment of the company. And then July 17, 2009, Masipag supports the protest against Oceana Gold mining. July 26, 2019, Stand with People's Barricade against Oceana Gold. April 8, 2020, indigenous community leaders protesting Oceana Gold. October 1, 2020, land defenders are killed in the Philippines for protesting Canadian mining. Group decry violent dispersal of barricade. The list goes on and on. And pinaka-latest dito, okay, March 2, 2023, 77 groups urge Philippines to stop Ocean Gold's mining operations in Nueva Vizcaya. 77 groups, 2023. Yan po pinaka-last. Marami po nag-oppose dyan. And yet, pinapayagan pa rin po sila mag-continue. So, ang gusto ko lang po, sana masatisfy po yung ilan sa mga bagay na nag-oppose po itong mga tao, kung nasatisfy na po yung reason why they're opposing, kung yung po ay nabigyan ng resolution. Because these people will not oppose 77 groups, actually more than 77 groups, 100 groups ang nag-oppose, including groups from abroad. They will not oppose if there's no violation, if there are no violations at all. So, gusto ko po, may pakita ninyo na yung mga inireklamo, ilan sa dito, ay na bigyan po ng solusyon, na aksyonan. Ang nangyari po kasi, lalo na expand po yung operations ng Oceana Gold. Yan po yung nakakainit ng ulo.
Sabi nila it was renewed for another 25 years but it was not expanded. The same place, hindi na-expand.
Well, I'll give you a map. Siguro para mas mapabilis tayo.
Okay.
We have a map that shows that it was expanded. Okay.
You know, in the Philippines, 9 million hectares has metal. So that is really a very malaking treasure ng Philippines. At ang pag yung 9 million hectares na yan, hindi mo tinanggal ang metal, it cannot be an agricultural land kasi hindi titubo ang halaman pag may metal sa ilalim. So napakaganda na alisin natin yung metal at in-convert natin na agricultural land. At yung metal na yon, ang worth daw niyan, 3 trillion dollars. Batang ganon, trillion of dollars. Na siguro kailangan din ng Pilipinas para maging mayaman ang ating bansa. Katulad po ng Saudi Arabia, yung kanilang Maharlika, yung equivalent nila ng Maharlika Fund, nanggagaling po yon sa kinukuhang oil nila. Nilalagay nila doon para pag naubos na yung oil, meron naman silang fund na magagasta para tulungan yung bansa nila. Parang ganon. So itong ating metal deposit na to, napakalaking riches para sa Philippines. Kaya as long as you do sustainable mining, walang masama na mag-mining kasi ang laki ng maia-add sa ating resources ng Philippines. Ang ayaw lang natin yung mga illegal miners. But if magagamit natin yung mga sustainable miners, then it will be an asset to the country. Kasi naandyan na yan riches natin yan na makukuha natin So, kailangan lang paggawa natin, katulad ko ikaw ay miner, at kukunin mo yung metal, tapos i-restore mo at gagawin mong agricultural land. At tuturuan mo yung mga tao doon how to plant and how to make it a successful farm afterwards. So, walang masama sa mining, basta tama ang practices ng mining.
Yes.
Sustainable mining.
I do agree with you, Madam Sponsor, 100%. Believe me, I don't have any problem with mining at all. Me personally, responsible mining. Pero pag yung isang mining site, inireklamo ng napakaraming tao, kasama niyo yung IPs, then there is a problem. Dapat wag ituloy yung sa site na yan, then maghanap ng ibang site. In fact, marami naman mining companies na hindi nireklamo. Only this Oceana Gold, tad po ng reklamo. So bakit natin pagpipilitan kung marami ng mga kababayan natin ang reklamo dahil napiperwisyo, kasama na po yung ating kalikasan. Again, I don't have any problem with responsible mining at all because I know, just like what the sponsor said, nakakatulong sa ating economy yan, nakakatulong sa employment, etc. However, we have to do it responsibly na wag naman at the expense of the environment, at the expense para ma-displace yung ating IPs, para ma-exploit po yung ating mga lupain at masisira po yung ating tubig, ilog, mga puno, etc. Yun po yung point ko. And again, I don't disagree with you na kailangan din natin yung mining. Pero dapat responsible mining at dapat sa tamang lokasyon. At kapag marami po nagreklamong mga Pilipino, pakinggan po natin. In fact, pati po yung mga foreigner, a third party na gumawa po ng auditing, sila mismo ay nag-oppose na hindi dapat ituloy yung Oceana Gold, pero pinagpipilitan po natin. Madam Sponsor. Okay na tayo po dyan. Now, last but not the least, ito na po yung sinasabi nyo kanina. Masungi Conservation Area, Ancestral Domain.
Sabi sa'yo, last but not the least, na masulit. Okay.
Bakit po pinayagan ang isang wind farm na magtayo doon po sa Masungi Conservation Area na meron pong ancestral domain issue?
Talaga pong there's something wrong with the contract with Masungi. Kasi hindi ho pwede yung perpetual.
No, I'm not sorry. Let me interrupt. Para hindi na masayang oras natin. I'm not talking about Masungi Foundation. I'm not talking. Mamaya na po natin pag-usapan yon later. What I'm talking is just the Masungi Conservation Area. Not the foundation. So, despite the fact na ito po ay declared as ancestral domain at meron pong nakiklaim ng mga IPs at under proclamation number 1636, it was declared as a sanctuary, wildlife sanctuary and game preserve at hindi po dapat pwedeng panghimasukan ng anumang commercial activities, explorations, exploitations, etc. Dahil marami po mga ibon dyan at mga halaman na endemic po sa Pilipinas.
A proposal to measure the potential of green energy was given a yes,
What are we talking here about the wind energy that they want to do in Masungi?
The wind farm,
Mr. President?
the Vena, Mr. President, Madam Sponsor, the Vena Energy is what I'm talking about. The Vena Energy that was given permit by PAMBI to put up their structure.
Ano yun?
You met us po sa measuring.
In fact, if I may add, while you're doing your research, DNR Administrative Order Number 33, okay, May 10, 1993. Masungi Rock and its vicinity specifically bounded by longitudes 121 degrees, 17 degrees to 121 degrees, 21 east, west, anyway, etc. It says here, declared a strict nature reserve and wildlife sanctuary in accordance with the provision of RA 7586, otherwise known as National Integrated Protected Area System Act of 1992. At wala pa pong bagong DAO or Department or DNR Administrative Order or na magsusupersede nito.
Sabi po, wind
It was signed
energy,
by Mr. Secretary Alcala. I'm sorry, Madam President.
Mr. President, sabi po yung wind energy is allowed because it's
Multiple use.
renewable energy. But wala pa daw permit yan. Parang mag-i-study pa lang kung ano yung potential ng wind energy. Yun lang ang ibinigay nila. They cannot operate yet. Parang yung PAMBI, ang ibinigay lang is a study of the potential of the wind energy in Masungi.
No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't be. Dapat in the first place, wala pong gagawing study doon kasi naghukay na po eh. Marami na pong structure doon. And I have pictures to show. What are the pictures?
Ang sabi po nila, yung PAMBI, binigay lang is to determine the wind energy. May conflict po eh. Ewan lang natin kung yung binigyan ng permit to measure the potential of wind energy, kung dinisobey nila na nagawa na sila doon. Pero it is based on a study lang.
Madam President, meron na po mga struktura doon. Nag-umpisa na sila na maglalagay ng
Part ba yun ng
wind
Masungi?
farm doon.
Yung nilagay daw po doon, hindi part ng Masungi, sa Padilla daw yun. It's not part of the legislated protected area. Yung
Yes.
pinaglagyan ng mga improvements na yun. It's beyond the legislated protected area.
I'll help you, Madam Sponsor. What happened was, ginamit ng PAMBI yung Section 25 ng Republic Act 11038, INIPAS 2018 as amended. What does it say? Doon po sa Section 25, special uses with protected areas. So nagkaroon po, because of PAMBI, binigyan po yung PAMBI sa batas na ito, nagkaroon ng amendment na para ideklara kahit isang protected area na into multi-use. And this has to be amended. Kasi it runs contrary to the spirit of the law protecting.
They want
Our
to
environment.
study and investigate what happened because of your contention. Can you give us yung study nyo para, a copy lang of the study so they can investigate kung there was a violation of the law?
The area kasi is a strict protected zone, Mr. President, Madam Sponsor. And having said that, DNR should know better na if it's a strictly protected zone, hindi dapat nila panghimasukan yan.
Nagagalit siya kasi
Hindi dapat nila inisip kahit na renewable energy na manghimasok yan. I don't have any problem with renewable energy na para mag-proliferate sa bansa natin because me being the chairman of the Committee on Energy, payag po ako sa renewable energy pero dapat ilagay natin sa lugar. Huwag po doon sa mga protected area. Especially po na meron pong mga ancestral domain issue na dahil misplaced po yung mga IPs natin na walang mga boses at walang mga kalaban-laban, pinapalayas doon sa kanilang ancestral domain dahil sa ngalan ng development, aka salapi.
The point of view of the DNR is in every protected area, there is a place for strict implementation of the law. They call it the strict protection zone. Tapos there are also areas in the protected area, yung tawag nila multi-purpose, multi-use zone.
Yes.
So hindi naman nila pinayagan do sa strict protection zone. Doon lang sa multi-use zone.
Exactly.
Oo. Ngayon, kung may other complaints na pinaalis yung mga tao, ganun-ganon, then let's have the complaint and we will investigate.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you very much for that answer, Madam Sponsor. That's exactly what I want you to say. Now, ang nangyari kasi, nagkaroon po ng multi-use zone classify po ng DNR using Section 25 of the e-NIPAS law as amended 2018 from Republic Act 7586 of the NIPAS Act of 1992. Now, yan po, hindi ko na pwede i-contest yan dahil batas po yan. Okay? I will not contest. However, nakasaad dito,
Kaya,
para ang PAMBI ay payagan na mag-classify ng multi-use sa isang strictly protected area, kailangan, ito na po yung minention nyo kanina, Madam Sponsor, members of the PAMBI Board, which consists of DNR Regional Director, Governor, Senator of the Republic of the Philippines, who is duly registered resident of the province, district representative of the congressional district, mayors, chairperson of barangay, regional directors, DA, NEDA, DOST, DND, 3 representatives from NGO or PO, 1 but not more than 3 representatives from IPs, ICCs, and then 1 representative from the academic institution, and finally, 1 representative from the private sector. Now, gusto ko po malaman kung nasunod po ba ito na itong lahat ng nakasulat dito sa Section 11 ng Republic Act 11038 2018 as amended ng e-NIPAS, kung nasunod po ito ng pagbigay po ng multi-use ng DNR sa wind farm na Bernas Energy. Bena Energy. Kung nasunod po.
nandyan daw po lahat yan nung magbigay ng permit.
Well, can I see the list kung sino tong 11 na ito na pumayag na
Yeah, we will
ma-exploit po yung ating
give-
environment doon po sa Masungi?
Eh sa amin, yun ang mga local man.
I need the list of those people na pumayag na i-exploit natin itong tinatawag nating Masungi Conservation Area na which is declared as a strictly protected area. So itong 11 members na nag-sign, members of the board sa PAMBI allowing the exploitation
Local government.
of Masungi, I need a list of those people
Kami nga
and their
wala.
signatures. And very important to me is yung pong IPs. Meron po bang pumirma na IPs?
Meron ba?
Meron? I need a list and I need the
They will submit to you those who signed.
But right now,
Kasi pero ho yan, I'm warning you that yan, majority wins. Di ba? Kahit na hindi pumirman lahat, kung majority pumirma, panalo yun. Oh.
I know. Pero ang selection process ninyo, kailangan meron pong IPs
Ayun,
doon.
pina-follow.
Kaya nga, paano po sinelect yung IPs? May I know?
Oh.
From the experts?
Baka hindi naman pumirma yung eyepiece. Alam nyo, miski eyepiece, naaano din yan eh. Nai-influence din yan eh.
Ay, dapat hindi.
Oh, ay nako. Tell it to the Marines.
Sorry. Tell it to the Marines. Dapat hindi po. Kasi
Ako,
kawawa po yung mga IPs.
sa aking legislated protected area,
Yeah.
nangyayari yan. Yung mga barangay, nai-influence eh.
Kawawa naman po yung mga IPs, kulang nga po sa pinag-aralan, kulang po sa kaalaman,
Sila nga
and then
mababahagi
exploit po
lang.
natin because we're saying na madali silang ma-influensyahan. Dapat we try to help them to make sure that they will not be easily influenced so that gagawin po nila kung anong tama para sa kanilang proteksyon.
Oo nga, hindi siya maniwala na yung IPC pumirma. Kaya huwag mo na sabihin sa akin, ako alam kong pwede yun, pero siya ayaw niya. Kaya ibigay mo na lang kung sino yung pumirma. Diba?
I'll help you. Would you mind if I'd help you?
Yeah, you're very welcome, Mr.
Okay.
President.
Kasi bago po mapili ang isa o dalawa o tatlong IPs na sumama po sa PAMBI sa selection process, number 1, dumadaan yan sa Indigenous Political Structure or IPS. Okay? Ano po yun? It consists of tribal leaders that have exclusive right na para magpadala po ng representative nila kung hindi sila mismo ang sumama doon sa PAMBI. Number 1. Number 2, dapat dumadaan po sa tinatawag na FPIC, Free and Prior Informed Consent. Process ito na ipapakita na itong IPs were not coerced and were not influenced, just like what the good sponsor said na madaling na influence. Kaya nga pumapasok itong proseso to make sure na hindi po sila na-influence, hindi po sila na-coerce. Ito po yung FPIC. And finally, evidence to 1 and 2 I mentioned, dapat may certification precondition or CP, documents from NCIP, pirmado na nagkaroon ng tamang proseso at pumayag ang IPs community. In the absence of these 3, then invalid po yung pag-recruit nyo ng IPs para maging member ng PAMBI's board.
Tingin niya kasi, influence. Ano naman yung preconditions Precondition notion na siya eh, di ba? Mr. President, we will just submit all the papers available to the DNR about the action of the PAMB. We just want to reassure you that it is not yet a permit to operate the windmill. It's just a study to find out the potential of the wind farm here in the legislated.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, good sponsor. Yes, I definitely agree with you. So, I need to see the CP,
Yes.
Certification of Precondition signed by the NCIP. Kahit na testing pa yan, kasi ang nakalagay sa batas, kahit na testing, dapat hindi. Doon sa mga lugar na merong issues sa ancestral domain. Kaya nga po dumadaan doon sa tatlong sinasabi kong steps. Without those, then invalid po yung mga nakapirmang IPs doon. So I need a copy of the CP na pirmado po ng NCIP. Because kanina lang po, tumawag ako sa NCIP, wala po silang pinipirmahan na CP allowing the exploration, the testing of anything whatsoever commercial doon po sa Masungi Conservation Area. Now, if you cannot show me CP, again, I will defer the budget of the DNR in favor of the IPs.
Can we defer? Do we have time to defend?
That appears in the supporting documents for the NEP and as a target of the DNR. So, siguro lesson learned na lang po, if that is not really the target, let's have a better budgeting system siguro.
I just want to make this manifestation in behalf of DNR. DNR has to take care of 30 million hectares of land, 2.2 million square kilometer of sea, 36,000 kilometers of coastline, and napakaliit daw nila ng budget to take care of all of this.
Apa. Siguro, hindi lang siguro sa budget hearing tayo nagganito. So siguro, the DNR should request for a special briefing for all senators to
Yeah.
to brief us on your operations and your needs. Yung, yes, apa. Hindi lang po ganitong mga araw kasi medyo pagod na rin po tayo. And just to inform the Environmental Management Bureau of the COA report about your biodegradable waste shredder and composter. Maraming issues, siguro.
Alam mo, they have a different one who was in charge of that. I was privy to that, and I think he was not serious in what he was doing. Kasi kung kino-ordinate lang niyang maayos sa local government, gusto naman nila eh. And yung supplier, may problema din yung supplier. The machineries did not work.
Yes,
So,
have we
but
spent...
it happened before them, before.
Yes, but have we spent
Secretary.
936 million pesos? Ito yan. For this project, which
You'll
does
be
not work?
surprised what people
More?
are capable of.
Yes, ma'am. The sponsor is informing us more. An even bigger amount is involved, not only the 936 million pesos.
No, we encourage the DNR to do this composting machine, distribution of composting machine. But there was a problem that the quality of machine distributed is not good, and at the same time, they are not really serious about doing it. We're doing it now with the Bureau of Soil and Water Management of the Department of Agriculture.
So
But there were some problems here.
Is the EMB under a new leadership? EMB?
Yeah, but they don't have this program anymore. We're doing it with the Department of Bureau of Soil and Water Management.
Pero
I'm not
ano po,
encouraging them.
idaan sa limot na lang yung 936 million?
We'll just review, no?
Is the DNR doing anything proactive
Maybe you
about
should
this
review.
issue? Kasi otherwise, next year, nandyan pa rin yan sa COA report.
Yung composting machine na in-implement ni na nagloko-loko-loko. O gusto niya i-review and find out.
Yung sa plastic, hindi ko naman natanungin. Okay na siguro. Ito na lang yung...
Yes. Mr. President, the USEC of the DNR promised that they will monitor, and if there are machines not working, they will repair, and they will have better coordination with the local government.
Ano daw failure of supplier to comply with the technical specifications in the terms of reference. Very basic na kagad ang ano. The LGU's incapacity to use the same, etc., Mr. President. Purchase equipment remained not operational. Bigat.
Yeah.
Bigat po ng problema. So I hope by next year, wala na po sa COA findings po yan. Can I ask the MWSS,
Alam ko naman ang yan.
first time ninyo to ask for a national government subsidy,
Hindi talaga.
have the complaints of our consumers about yellowish water flowing out of our faucets. Has that reached the MWSS?
Yes, they
What,
have...
what can we do about this?
Nasaan ba yun? It has been resolved. They have stopped yung manganese, di ba? And now, they don't have that problem anymore.
I hope yung nakikinig sa atin they will confirm that problem. Luwa? Is Luwa before us? Are we
Yes,
considering also Luwa?
yes. Oh. Nasaan na yung luwa? Hindi ko naintindihan.
Meron po mga reklamo from our consumers regarding the tap water turning to murky brown. And then while their water bills are more than doubling. I mean, yung reklamo ba sa quality of the water, umabot na rin po sa luwa?
Yung murky brown naman yun. Yung isa, yellow. Ngayon, murky brown. Ano yung another complaint? The cost of water?
Yung color ng water din. Parang ganun din. It's
Oh,
actually the same as the MWSA yellow. Ito naman brown.
They're repairing their treatment plant so that the water will not be discolored. And then they're looking at the water bill.
Water bills. The water bills.
Yeah, there's something wrong with the water bills. Na doble.
They are now asking for tariff rates because of
Bakit kanina ba to? Bakit ba to? Bakit siya? Kanya ba yan? Yan, di ba?
May I ask how the water bill doubled? Can you explain to us?
Wala, reklamo lang po ng mga consumers po natin. Okay, ganito para klaro po. No?
Sabi nila, hindi naman daw nag-double. Nagmahal lang ang tubig because of the fuel cost, but it did not double. Ano ang increase? 20%?
about on the average.
The average increase is 20%.
1.2%, 120% up.
20%.
1.2, yes, 1.2 of the old one. Okay, Mr. President, there's also a finding of LUA's lack of strict policies and procedures on the revocation of the conditional certificate of conformance issued to various water districts, which is contrary to Section 66 of PD 198. Is LUA aware of this? COA? Is this a COA finding? COA
I
finding?
think they cannot just suspend the agreement, di ba? It has a time limit. So, can you give us the particular complainant so we can see if it's really happening? But I don't think they can just suspend the agreement. It's against the law.
Is LUA aware that this is a COA finding?
COA findings ba to?
COA findings?
We will be revisiting our existing policies. We'll be revisiting our existing policies.
But it's okay, Madam Sponsor, if you just in writing na lang, if LUA can...
They said they're going to revisit the existing policies, but I don't think you just can revoke this CCC, okay? So if there are, we can just ask LUA to review what
Yes,
has
but
happened here and make a report to you.
Ibangga ninyo sa batas. May Section 66 of PD 198 na sinasite. Tama itong ating PPD, our number. And then another finding, loans extended to non-operational LGU-run private entities and dissolved water districts with project costs and disbursements totaling 1.29 billion pesos and 228 million pesos respectively were not compliant with the standard operating procedures in the granting and approval of loans, which casts doubt on the integrity of LUA's procedures and processes in the grant of financial assistance to water districts. That's a COA finding. Is LUA aware of that? What steps are you taking to hold the water districts accountable or to collect the amounts that I have just mentioned, Mr. President?
They give notice of revocation of CCC and give notice of takeover due to default. They will take over the operation because of default and not following the conditions of the contract.
Pero yung mga loan amounts, parang ano na yan? Parang condoned na?
They just take over the operations. We will review that. We will revoke the CCCs.
Parang unless they are willing to pay, but they haven't paid. So I think if they're not following the what they have, they are not compliant with the approval and granting of loans, then they have to revoke the CCC and give notice of takeover due to default. They will take over the operation.
Yes, yes. They will, kaya nga, the default is their condition now to take over the operations of the water district. The default.
Yes.
So how about the amount nga, the amount not paid, ano mangyari? From the operations doon nababayaran, they slowly, ano?
Yeah. Or if they're willing, they can restructure the loan if they are willing. But if not, then you have no choice but to just take over the operation. It depends upon the one who did not pay the loan.
Thank you for that, Mr. President. Ito pong inyong ano, you have, LUA has one program. Tama? One and only program, ito, water supply and sanitation program. Is that your program?
For what? What is that sanitation? Yung waste management. Yeah. Are you the one doing the waste? Yeah. There are two programs, the improving the water supply and then implementing a waste management treatment plant. Two, ano yon? Kasi yung waste management, yung mga lumalabas na wastewater, you treat it before they go into the river and then to the ocean.
Yes.
And then yun namang improving the water supply so there will be better service.
And then as our output indicator, number of sanitation projects implemented, 2022 GA targets ng LUA, 6. Ang actual ninyo, 0. Are you aware of that?
This will be the first time, 2024. Hindi pa daw na-download yung funds kaya they cannot implement.
We're talking about 700 million plus. 700. Yung water supply and sanitation program ninyo is 782 million pesos.
Hindi na-download.
Ano ba to for 2023? Ito.
Yung for waters, yung inyong development na 700 million.
Anyway, I'm just calling your attention to that. Siguro in writing na lang
it's
po,
an
Mr. President.
ADB loan.
Oh, so?
So,
Okay. But still, may commitment tayo, may target tayo, 6, and then actual output 0. So dapat siguro mag-explain tayo.
They have
Loan-
downloaded a certain amount, but it has not
Loan
all been-
proceeds have not been released or have not reached you, have not reached LUA.
partially only how much? 400 million. Where did you use it?
400 million.
Wala
Oh.
kayong... For the water district, not for the treatment plant.
For the water districts, for their projects.
Yeah, but zero daw ang treatment plant nyo in spite of the downloading. Kasi dalawa pagdadala ng treatment plant. Yan,
Okay na.
But the treatment plant. So they have implemented the project for the better supply of water, but they haven't implemented any treatment plant yet because the release is not complete yet.
Sige. Let's just be aware of our targets and commitments natin because ang assumption namin, the budget is based on targets and some assumptions, ganun. So, and then kung pag hindi na release, sana proactive tayo on following up with the proper agency. Ano, kasi
It's a foreign loan.
yes, unfortunately may nakakapansin din sa mga commitments natin. So, but I'm sure siguro ko ang past administration yung nag-commit nun, but hindi pa rin siguro reason yun. Just because of a new leadership, you abandon the past commitments or past plans. No? So, that's not a good indication din naman na kada change in leadership, we overhaul the plans of the organization back to zero tayo. Ano? So, at any rate, that's a fact. No? It's anyway, admitted na natin. It's a fact. There was a target, 0, and siguro for next year's budget, at least we will be reminded to follow up these mga targets and actual deliveries. So that would be all, Mr. President. Thank you for the patience, first of all, and the endurance of the surprising endurance of our sponsor, Mr. President.
I always feel that I endure everything.
Thank you. And then also to the DNR family. Alam namin mahirap trabaho nyo, but of course, you signed up for the job eh. So alam niyo po yung pinapasok mo ninyo. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minority Floor Leader.
Chairperson Marius Corpus. And we'd like to move that we recognize the distinguished sponsor of the measure, no other than Senator Jinggoy Estrada, and to interpellate our Minority Leader, Senator Coco Pimentel. I so move, Mr. President.
Our distinguished sponsor, Senator Jinggoy Estrada, is recognized to sponsor the budget of the GCG and to interpolate the distinguished Minority Floor Leader, Senator Coco Pimentel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, we are presenting for the approval of the body the proposed 2024 budget of the Governance Commission for Government-Owned or Controlled Corporations, or the GCG. The total new appropriations of the GCG for fiscal year 2024, as proposed by your Committee on Finance, is 202,765,000. This is the same amount that was proposed by the Department of Budget and Management under the National Expenditure Program and by the House of Representatives under the General Appropriations Bill. The proposed budget for 2024 is 51% lower than the appropriations in 2023, which is equivalent to a reduction of 209,936,000. The whole GCG family, led by its chairperson, Marius Corpus, is present here today. Mr. President, we are ready to reply to the questions from our colleagues.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, our sponsor mentioned the level of the budget of GCG at 202 million for next year. Is it higher or lower than this year's budget for
It's
GCG?
lower, Mr. President.
Lower? By how much?
Lower by 209,936,000.
Okay, can we get an explanation as to nangalahati po bale, nangalahati. So what programs, activities and projects of the GCG might be affected with this tremendous reduction, Mr. President?
Well, first of all, the personal services, it was reduced by 114,291,000. The MOE was reduced by 66,245,000, and the capital outlay with zero budget, it was reduced from the 2023 GAAP of 29,400,000.
Sige po, siguro we will assume yung capital outlay baka built na or
Yes.
procured na.
The
whatever.
reason, if I may
yes,
add,
Papa.
Mr. President, the reason for the reduction of the personal services
Yes.
is that there was a low utilization rate, Mr. President. The following items significantly contribute to the observed decrease of budget of the GCG. First is the budget for the compensation position classification system amounting to 48 million. It's only proposed once every 3 years. The budget for the CPCS is not included in the proposed fiscal year 2024 budget. And the basis of the budget for the personal services is the actual filled position of the Governance Commission as of April 28 of 2023, as compared to the 100% filled plantilla position of GCG for 2023. And the entire budget for the capital outlay of this commission was cut in the proposed 2024 budget, Mr. President.
Hindi, ilan po yung authorized positions ng GCG at ilan po yung field nila, Mr. President?
The authorized positions, ilan yung authorized? The authorized position, according to the chairperson, is 236.
And then field?
Unfilled. The filled positions are 106, Mr. President.
So taken against them yun, bale? Because the reduction.
Yes, that is why the DBM only approved
Kaya nga.
the 106 filled positions. And they are currently hiring, they are currently hiring personnel for the unfilled position. And that is why there might be a problem for next year's budget kasi nga hanggang dito na lang kasi tataas yung
Tataas.
kanilang PS.
Meron po
dahil-
MPBF. Meron naman po MPBF. Meron tayong MPBF items sa
Oh, yes,
budget.
yes,
Apo.
yes.
So, the GCG is under new leadership. Tama? So,
Yes,
okay. So, hindi natin sila
he was appointed August 4 of this year,
Sige
Mr. President, replacing, and the commissioners, how many commissioners do they have? They have 3 commissioners.
Can we get the names of all the new leaders of GCG? Ano po?
The chairperson is former Undersecretary of the Department of Interior and Local Government, Mr. Marius Corpus. And the the commissioners are Attorney Brian Keith Hosaka and Attorney Geraldine Marie Berberabe Martinez. Nasaan? Is she here? Sino yun? That's it, Mr. President.
3 of them. Oo nga, tatlo. Okay.
One chairperson and 2 commissioners.
Yes, okay. Miss Berberabi was here earlier.
Yes, I think she had to go to
I saw her.
Malacanang,
Yes, I saw.
Your Honor.
Okay, so what was this? So, sabi nga ni Senator Chis kanina, we learn at least one new thing every day. Ano po yung sinabi ng sponsor na it is a part of PS but funded every 3 years? Ngayon lang po ako naka-encounter na. What is that, Mr. President?
The CPCS, this is the
What is that?
budget for the compensation and position classification system. Your Honor.
Do all the agencies get that, Mr. President? Compensation for...
All GOCCs, Your Honor.
And then it's budgeted every 3 years. Parang cycle siya for the GOCCs. Because why every 3 years? What is it for? What is that item for?
It is only the GCG because the law requires them to review every 3 years the compensation and position classification system, Mr. President.
This is the amount. This is the amount you need to perform that particular mandate. Malaki din po I mean, 60 million po ba yan?
48?
Ha?
48 million, Mr.
48
President.
million. Malaki din po. So to review, kasi itong GCG, Mr. President, Mr. Sponsor, parang nagsuscoring yan parang
Yes.
may report card
They-
ng mga GOCCs, ginigrade
They
na nila.
evaluate, Your Honor. No?
Kaya nga dapat model din kayo You're a model agency. Kaya wag kayong 200 plus ang authorized ninyo tapos ang field ninyo 100 plus lamang kasi baka pag i-grade naman kayo ng ibang ahensya, kayo naman po ang lumagapak sa inyong report card, Mr. President. So just be conscious of that. Alam ko you grade it. What is that purpose? You grade them so that they can implement their financial parang bonuses or what?
For their performance-based bonus according to
Ayun,
the chairperson, Mr.
So you
Mr.
grade
President.
them pagka pumasa, then if they have a plan for a performance-based bonus, they can implement it, execute it. Pag hindi pumasa, they cannot do it.
Well, they have to submit it to the commission for their approval, Mr. President.
Do you approve the terms of the performance-based bonus, but I think you also assess the performance of the GOCC per some criteria that you set. Is that correct? Ganon.
Well, I see the chairperson nodding. I think he agrees.
Yes,
with your
yes,
statement,
that's how
Mr.
I
President.
understand what they do. Okay, how many GOCCs are under the jurisdiction of the GCG?
82.
Subject to that grading or report submission process, Mr. President? 100.
We have 118 GOCCs.
Okay. How
Mr.
many are
President.
complying with your system of reportorial requirements?
77. Where? Well, according to the chairperson, Your Honor, 98.71% or 78 GOCCs with complete and compliant submissions have been issued authorization to implement the CPCS as of October 25 this year, Mr. President.
So yung mga, those who are, no, are the other GOCCs not complying or not passing? They are submitting reports but they are not passing to your criteria. 180 pag yun. Kung nadadagdagan ng isa. Ito. What are those not complying? Yun ang
For PBB, dito channel 2. Performance based. No sanction, okay. Well, Your Honor, there are 82 GOCCs that have complied, and the rest have not complied. And there is no law or specific sanction, Mr. President, to those non-compliant agencies.
Pero may effect sa kanila.
Yes, of
Right?
course.
Okay. The
They
laws,
will not be eligible. They will not be eligible for the PBB or the performance-based bonus.
yes. Kahit may plano silang gawin yun, magiging illegal if they implement it without complying
Yes,
with
you are
with
correct,
the law.
Mr. President.
Okay, so at least alam nila na meron pong effect. Okay. Hindi ba kayo nadagdagan ng isa pa to be subject to your jurisdiction? Is the Maharlika Investment Corporation
Yes, it
supposed to
is,
be a GOCC under? Is that counted sa 118 or will make it 118 plus 1?
Not yet, Mr. President.
So even that Maharlika Investment Corporation will have to submit the reports if should they have a performance-based bonus. Actually, nasa law, meron eh.
Yes, Mr. President, you are correct.
Can the GCG, is the GCG more than just receiving and evaluating the report submitted to you? Do you also concern yourselves with making sure that the functions, the transactions of a special creature like the Maharlika Investment Corporation would be more transparent and understandable by the public, Mr. President?
Mr. President, once the Maharlika Investment Corporation is operationalized, the corporation will be subject to the performance, transparency, and disclosure requirements of the Governance Commission. Sections 3M and 4, number 4 of Republic Act 10149, subject GFIs under GCG's oversight to ensure financial viability, fiscal discipline, good governance, and extraordinary diligence over the care of state rights and GOCC assets. GCG, in the performance of its duties under Section 5C of RA 10149, actively exercises state ownership rights in GOCCs through the institutionalization of a performance evaluation scorecard. The GCG has partnered with the Asian Development Bank to capacitate its key personnel on understanding and monitoring the management of the Sovereign Wealth Fund, Mr. President.
Yes, ito kasing Maharlika Investment Corporation is one of its kind GOCC. First time we were attempting to form a sovereign wealth fund, and we did not form a sovereign wealth fund. Okay, we retained the phrases or the phrase sovereign wealth fund. Yet this is a fund where we allow private sector to invest, and we allow foreigner private individuals also to invest. So this is a very special kind of creature. Will the GCG subject the Maharlika Investment Corporation to special rules or just the regular run-of-the-mill rules of the GCG applicable to the rest of the 118 GOCCs, Mr. President? Ano kaya performance evaluation?
Mr. President, that is why this GCG had partnered with the ADB to formulate possible rules and regulations that will be applicable to the Marlica Investment Fund, Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. President, medyo give this some special attention and study. Kasi this is supposed to be ano ba to, yung to generate funds. It meant to generate funds, but then it also to implement developmental projects na walang return. And then you will perform a performance evaluation of such a corporation, which is run already supposed to be by the best minds in the financial industry, Mr. President. So, are we sure the GCG can evaluate the performance of such a group of people, Mr. President?
Well, under the law that we passed, it's called now the Republic Act 11954, the establishment of the Marlica Investment Fund. There is a joint congressional oversight committee, and there shall be created a Marlica Investment Fund Joint Congressional Oversight Committee to oversee, monitor, and evaluate the implementation of this act. The MIF-JCOC, or the Joint Congressional Oversight Committee, shall be composed of 7 members, each from the House of Representatives and the Senate. And the role of the GCG in the operations of the Maharlika Investment Corporation is that Sections 3 and 4 of RA 1049 or 10149 or the GCG law subject GFIs under GCG's oversight to ensure financial viability, which I mentioned earlier, President, fiscal discipline, good governance, and extraordinary diligence over the care of state rights and GOCC assets.
Siguro you have metrics that you use, mga ganun? Ratio and proportion, mga ganun? Yeah.
Yes, Mr. President, the performance evaluation scorecard.
Scorecard, kaya nga. Yun yun, composed of formula, ganun, formula. Sorry. Sige pa, so, we are here to support the GCG kasi very critical yung nature, yung inyong tasks, especially now that we all admit that the Maharlika Investment Corporation is under your jurisdiction. So is there a wish list from the GCG, Mr.
Yes,
President?
there is, Mr.
Magkano pong
President.
total ang ano,
May wish list yan. Sana? Ito?
I-note natin magkano saka para saan. Bagatin naman ni Chairman.
Baso ko yan.
Sige, note niyo.
Okay, wish list, Mr. President. Additional personal service amounting to 84 million. And the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or the OECD, Asia 2024 meeting funds.
Okay.
They have, I think they have this event, which will be held here in Manila. Next year, Mr. President. And it will entail around 4.5 million pesos. And increase in operational capacity amounting to 15.1 billion pesos, and the enhancement of major ICT projects and capabilities for a total of 168.4 million.
Yung 4.5 million, that's the amount for hosting an OECD event?
Yes, Mr. President.
So we are not a member of OECD, but what's our business hosting them, Mr. President?
Well, the GCG has been chosen by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development as the host for the 17th meeting of the OECD Asia Network on Corporate Governance of State-Owned Enterprises in 2024. The OECD Asia Network meeting provides a forum to share experiences, identify good practices, and develop recommendations for reform to improve state ownership practices and strengthen the OECD guidelines. The Governance Commission plans to invite around 200 international and local high-level officials to participate. 22 countries are targeted to be represented in the meeting. 4.5 million is requested for this
Yes, sir.
activity, Mr. President.
So, ang request na lang siguro natin, if the results could be published so that we will all benefit from the meeting of the top-level
Discussion.
yes, the top-level
Or
discussion.
dialogue.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Last point, Mr. President. Basta we're here to support the GCG. Very critical na po ngayon kayo. Noon pa, pero all the more now. Ito po, just in a news report in the Inquirer, the DBP is challenging the GCG's pronouncement that the GCG has the power to determine whether DBP and the Land Bank of the Philippines should be merged without going through legislation. So, may we get your the position? Was this a pronouncement of the old leadership or of the current leadership, Mr. President?
Well, Mr. President, in a letter dated November 29 of 2022, the Department of Finance endorsed for GCG's consideration and approval its proposal to merge with the Land Bank and the Development Bank of the Philippines, with Land Bank as the surviving entity. And the Congress has delegated to the President, by virtue of Section 5 of the GOCC Governance Act of 2011, the power to reorganize and merge GOCCs. Section 5A of the GOCC Governance Act of 2011 provides that, upon determination by the GCG that it is to the best interest of the state that a GOCC should be recognized, merged, streamlined, abolished, or privatized, it shall implement the reorganization, merger, or streamlining of the GOCC, unless otherwise directed by the President. Thus, Section 5A authorizes the merger of Land Bank and DBP without the need to enact a new law.
So that's a November 2022 letter. So does the present leadership agree with what is there?
Well, the proposed merger, Your Honor, is still under further evaluation and study, Mr. President.
Kasi ang aking position, Mr. President, these two BOCCs or governmental entities have their own charters, which are republic acts or laws. So, in effect, if we merge them and then may surviving entity,
This is Land
we
Bank.
practically repealed the charter of the disappearing entity and amended the charter of the surviving entity. So, and without any law. So, the question is, can that be done by virtue of section of that section 5 of a certain law, Mr. President?
That is why, Mr. President, it is still under evaluation and it still needs further study, Mr. President. And according to the officials of the GCG, the Supreme Court upheld the constitutionality of the Governance Commission in the case of Representative Edsel Lagman versus Executive Secretary Paquito Choa Jr. et al. That was dated November 3 of 2020, and Prospero Pichay Jr. versus GCG et al. On November 3 of 2020, Mr. President.
But maybe the issue in that case is the law, constitutionality of the law creating the GCG. Hindi naman po yung yung aking point is the DBP and the LBP merger, Mr. President. Should it be done through law or can it be done through Section 5 of that particular law, Mr. President? I'm not questioning the constitutionality of the GCG. So ano ba ibang pwedeng tanongin dito? ODCC, DOJ, OSGC, ano ba ang bibigyan?
This is according to Supreme Court.
Do we need a law to
Well, according to the chairperson of the GCG, Section 5 of the GOCC says it is a valid delegation of legislative power.
in that particular case?
That is according to the Supreme Court. Your
Why was it at issue? Why was Section 5 at issue in that particular case? What were the GOCCs involved in the case?
undue delegation.
Tignan nyo na lang, kuha nyo yung case type, basahin nyo lang.
Undue legislation of delegation. Undue delegation of merge abolition. Well, the issue here is the undue delegation of the power to merge or abolish the GOCCs, Mr. President.
Yes, naging issue siya because there was a merger of two GOCCs.
Nang-merge ba? Meron ba merger na nangyari? Ha? Ano na?
Baka theoretical question lang po. So, must have been decided on a technicality kung ganun. So anyway, Mr. President, we got that case title. Basahin na lang din po namin. Siguro last question na lang. On the DBP-LBP merger, siyempre kumukuha tayo ng opinion. In the setup of government, what government entity should give us the guiding opinion whether it can be done administratively by the President or by legislation? Opinion lang ha, yung opinion. So is it the GCG, the OSG, OGCC, or the DOJ? Yan lang pong naiisip ko na may mga parang law firm, law office function eh.
Better be sure naman. Oh, chief.
It should be.
Well, there are
Should be this-
differing opinions, Mr. President.
But
On my
let me
left
get
and
the,
on my right.
No, the leadership's opinion. Is
Well,
is it you? Do you
According
claim
to
that
them, it is the GCG,
okay,
Mr.
that's the
President.
claim of the GCG. Okay, that you should be the ones issuing the opinion to guide us. To guide lang to, hindi naman to
Yes.
binding. Okay, if you are that entity, when are you coming up with the said opinion?
You have timeline? You have a timeline? Well, they do not have any timeline, but they are still in the process of collating the comments from the various GOCCs.
Hindi, DBP, LBP lang po to merger. I mean, you should not take your time. Dapat siguro may self-imposed deadline din po tayo.
Well,
If ito, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, if the GCG claims that it is the proper agency to render an opinion whether it can be done under Section 5 of their law, so therefore administratively, or do we need Congress to act to amend the two charters? Yun lang yun, opinion. If you are that correct entity to issue that opinion, yun lang tanong ko. Give us a self-imposed deadline for you to come up with the opinion. We will not necessarily agree, pero at least meron tayong pinag-uusapan.
well, Mr. President, I think they have a difficulty answering that question. I think they do not have yet a timeline to give because they are still in the process of studying it and evaluating the merger, Mr. President. It is still under review, Mr. President.
Well, at sa iba po yung hindi viability yung question ko, Mr. President, on the legality. So maybe the GCG is not the correct agency. So anyway, we will just answer the question ourselves, Mr. President. Mag-research din po kami on what should be that agency to give us the initial lang naman eh. The initial guiding opinion. We don't have to agree with the opinion. It also can be the wrong position. It can turn out to be the wrong position, Mr. President. So, okay. Okay. Sino ba nagbibigay? Office of Secretary. Nagbibigay ba natin of Presidential Legal Council? Gusto ko lang mag-preview kasi baka hindi sila kasi
Mr. President, right now, I was informed that the GCG is consulting the following agencies like the COA, the BSP, the PCC, DOF, and the DBM, Mr. President. They're still consulting with each other.
parang
Mr.
as part
President.
of preliminary background research. Pero
Yes.
I suggest we put a deadline po, Mr. Chairman and GCG kasi. Otherwise, parang wala tayong starting position at na subject to of our debates. So at
I
any
agree.
rate, Mr. President, I reiterate my full support to the GCG, and we will go over the wish list, the requested augmentation of the budget of the GCG. So we wish them all the best, Mr. I know they're new to the agency, pero we wish you all the best in your enormous but important tasks. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. Also.
Thank you, Mr. Minority Leader. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much to our distinguished minority floor leader.
Wala na Majority Leader.
Are there anyone of these gentlemen going to ask? I can recognize them directly. If not, we ask for a minute suspension. Session suspended for a minute.
Senator Pimentel is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Napakagandang interpellation po ni Senator Robin Padilla. Dami nating natutunan. Namulat yung ating mga mata sa actual situation at pati dun sa ating mga past commitments na dapat hindi natin nalilimutan. Ang magandang point na lumabas po is meron pala tayong 2-year left in the time frame that we have to comply with our commitments under the decommissioning annex.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so-
2 years.
And then, tama ba yung pagkaintindi ko? For the 2024 NEP, we are not funding anything doon? Or kulang?
Kulang na kulang talaga.
Yun ba yung 10% na nabanggit kanina? Or less than 10% na nabanggit kanina? Yun po yun?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, yeah, so, maling strategy po yata yun. If we have only 2 more years, is it 2 more years or 2 more years after 2024? Or 3 more years from now? Ano ba?
Your Honor, supposed to be, the decommissioning phase is only up to year 2022. But it was extended up
Extended
to
pa, yeah.
2025. So, more or less, 2 years remaining, Your Honor.
Sige po, pero parang maling strategy, parang hindi proportional yung ating budgeting, no? Parang may balloon. We need to fund it in bulk during the last few years, no? So there's something wrong with our approach. So siguro if the secretary can discuss this budget sa cabinet, that the Senate has his support on this. Pero of course, it's a question of the availability of resources kasi 9.7 billion is what we need to fund for the next 2 years, bale. Okay, sige po. We get it, Mr. President. Oh, sige. So with that realization, may wish list pa ba ang OPAPRO? Do you have a wish list for 2024? Na hindi pa po nakasama sa aming Senate Committee report. Tandaan natin, ang Senate Committee report namin, saan ba yun? Increased eh. Even increase your budget. Yes.
Your Honor,
Yes, ma'am.
yung kanilang wishlist ay nakalagay naman sa unprogram.
Ayun. Okay.
Unfunded, unprogram.
Unprogram.
Ha? Unprogram. So, unprogram, Your Honor.
Entirety of the wish list, nasa unprogram.
Yes, Your
Okay,
Honor.
okay.
It's a total of 899 million.
Okay.
766,000.
The budget reflects the priorities of the administration. So kung lahat po ng inyong wishlist ay in-accommodate sa budget prepared by the executive branch, that means you are really being prioritized by the administration.
No, it's the Senate version, Your Honor. The ones who placed
Yes,
this,
sir. But our Senate version, ang adjustment natin, 51 million lang, 51.5 million. Internally, nag-adjust po tayo internally, meaning to say we decrease some amounts and then we increase some items to the same amount. So,
Yes, Your
hindi
Honor.
gumalaw yung... So, since yan na po yung pinag-usapan natin, may we know saan anong adjustments ni subcommittee? Ano po yung ginalaw natin sa amounts sa OPAPRO budget, Mr. President?
we have realigned the 51 million from the capital outlay to MOOA to fund the coordination, monitoring, and evaluation activities of the Pamana program, Your Honor. So, plus the program.
Yes, okay. So, yun program, pag-usapan na lang. Well, anyway, basta it reflects the priorities of the administration, pero better still sana kung nasa program. But at least, nandiyan po tayo sa budget in the program. And we have a chance may chance pa rin ma-fund po yan, Mr. President. Siguro, appeal na lang to the Secretary and to the entire office to address the COA items. No? So, try your best, try your very best. Minanan lang po ninyo yung issues na yon. And then, na-accommodate po ba natin yung request ng National Amnesty Commission, Mr. President? Kasama doon sa ating
Yes,
committee report?
yes, Your Honor. Kasama po lahat.
Okay. Ang figure kasi sa akin, ang request is 60 million. Paano natin na-accommodate yun when we made adjustments of 50...
The 60 million na
51.5 million. Ang
60
adjustments
million.
natin, 51.5. Ang request is 60 million. Paano natin na-accommodate po yun?
no, it's included in the program, Your Honor.
Saan
The
program
60.
na ilagay?
60. Program.
Okay. Sige, and then can we get the reaction of the Secretary? There's a request that we introduce a special provision that the amount of 88,469,000 appropriated herein under the locally funded projects shall be lodged directly with NAC, the National Amnesty Commission, and used exclusively for the operationalization and implementation of the programs, activities, and projects of the NAC. Is this-
Yes, Your Honor. It's already included in our committee report. Yes,
Thank
Your
you very much. So, very proactive ang ating subcommittee chair na yung aking opisina ay behind na sa curve. Nagawa na. So, ako papunta pa lang, pabalik na si chairman na done that na po siya.
But it's not an program, ha? Program yan. Program, ba? Sa special provisions.
Special provision. Okay, the special provision. Yes, siguro. No. So do we have to be clear that we are referring to an appropriation in the program?
Additional na po itong 60, Your Honor.
In addition pa to.
Oh, in
Okay.
addition ito. Opo.
In addition to the 88
88,
million
yeah.
po. Okay, thank
In
you.
addition to the 88.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. So yung 60 million, when if ever these are funded and then released, will follow the spirit of the special provision, directly lodged with the NAC.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ganun na mangyayari. Okay. For as long as that's clear, Mr. President, okay na po, Mr. President. May we get, siguro last topic na lang po ito, no? May we get the inputs from the office and from the Secretary on what measures are being taken to address the killings and disappearances associated with communist insurgency, Mr. President?
Yes, Mr. President, Your Honor, OPAPRO differs to the law enforcement agencies on the measures to address killings and disappearance associated with communist groups. So, makipagtulungan na lang sa law enforcement agencies, Your Honor.
Wala ba tayong parang filosofiya na gusto natin i-share sa kanila o panawagan na, Mr. President? Do we want to be that detached, Mr. President, and
Yes, Your Honor, OPA Pro, in coordination with all members of the security cluster, is advocating for the observance of the rule of law. Yung kanilang rules of engagement na minimaintain ngayon ng Armed Forces of the Philippines ay emphasis noon ay talagang observance of the rule of law. Yung rules of engagement na ino-observe by the Armed Forces of the Philippines. And it is being monitored by the whole security cluster, not only the Department of National Defense, but kasama na dyan lahat, pati na yung DOJ, yung National Security Council, OPA Pro, they are always saying to it that the rules of engagement with emphasis on the observance of the rule of law ay talaga ma-observe in all undertakings by the operating units, Your Honor.
And the rule of law puts high value to human life, Mr. President.
Yes,
Basta't implied na po yan. Titapos ko. For the same, Mr. President, Senator Tolentino wants to interject something. Say, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, yes, Senator.
And if I may add, Mr. President, Your Honor, the Armed Forces of the Philippines is very consistent every year, topping the list of most trusted government agency, national government agency. So palagi po yan, every year, number one palagi ang Armed Forces of the Philippines, most trusted. So siguro, that's quite an indicator that the rule of law is really being observed as far as the rules of engagement of the armed forces is concerned.
If
Mr.
okay with
President,
the chair recognizes Senator Tolentino.
the permission of the two gentlemen, just a minor interjection, which I think is germane to the topic at hand. Maybe know from the good sponsor his views on the latest intervention made by a United Nations rapporteur who was here for 10 days, lambasting NTF LCAC program for being anti-human rights because of some perceived violations relative to climate change initiatives. Perhaps the query made by the good minority leader has something to do likewise with this seemingly intrusive misobservance of a foreigner named Mr. Fry delving into our affairs and as to how we should end communist insurgency here. Palagay niyo, tama ba yung sinabi nila na may nakialam na naman, lumabas ngayon, kalalabas lang ata ngayon yung statement?
Maybe, Your Honor, he is one of the most misinformed foreigner who set foot in this country. Baka ang narinig lang niya ng mga na side ay yun doon lang sa kabilang side. Hindi niya napakinggan yung side ng gobyerno.
So was the OPAPRO involved during the visit preparations or of this UN observer? This is a breaking news. Kalalabas lang po nito, mainit-init pa ito.
OPAPRO is not involved,
So hindi
Your Honor.
sila na-involved. So kalalabas lang.
Had he been involved, for sure, magbabago yung paningin ng foreigner na yun sa NTF LCAC.
So
Kung in-involve nila OPAPRO, they will be informed accordingly. Hindi naman po sa porke na sa gobyerno tayo, pero yung tama lang na information dapat nakakarating sa kanila.
So this will be the news for tomorrow, that UN observer calling for recommending that all NTF LCAC activities be stopped. Yes, this is a breaking news. That's why I interjected. Yes, so lahat ng ginagawa, titigil na raw kasi it is anti-human rights and it will not end. So it will not end the conflict due to his mission is supposed to be for climate change activities. Hindi ko alam ba't siya napunta ron.
That is why we are in quandary right now, Your Honor. NTF LCAC is all about good governance and delivery of basic services to the communities. And they are not involved in armed confrontation with the enemies of the state. And why they are lambasting the NTF LCAC? maybe they're being fed with the wrong information, Your Honor. And I hope
totally
they can be
agree.
corrected.
I totally agree, Mr. President, Your Honor. That's why the peace process is really a very fluid dynamics that would involve not just local conditions, current events, even the appropriate resources, allocation of the government, and other societal factors that probably would be beyond the comprehension of foreign observers going here. Mr. President,
Yes, Your Honor. It's very clear.
so
Clearest day.
that will be the news for tomorrow. And your committee just made a response to that observation coming from an alleged UN observer. Thank you, Mr. Minority Leader. Thank you, Mr. President, for allowing this short interjection.
Thank you, Mr. President. So siguro, Mr. President, we after our questioning, it's very clear that the chairman of our subcommittee has designed properly and accurately and appropriately the budget for the OPAPRU for 2024, at least for 2024. No? Lahat ng issues na raise ko, lahat ng proposed amendments ko, tapos na, nagawa na po niya. So I commend our subcommittee chairman for being an expert on the subject matter and for having anticipated all of the issues and accommodated all of the requests. So congratulations, Mr. Sponsor, and we wish the OPAPRU led by Secretary Galvez all the best. Sir, request na lang, medyo complex kasi itong topics nito. You're implementing or executing a couple of agreements, peace agreements and other agreements with annexes. So always keep us informed, not only of the latest developments, but remind us of what is there, what are the contents of all of these agreements, parati, if possible, para we will appreciate the situation, and then pagdating ng budget process talaga, although the executive has prioritized all of the commitments, we will appreciate it and maybe even suggest some augmentation or support. Pero siyempre, we have to know where to get it. So ganun talaga yung prioritization yan eh. So if this is the priority, that means some will have to, some other PAPs will have to wait because this is the more urgent and prioritized PAPs. So once again, we thank the OPAPRU family, wish them all the best, and congratulate our sponsor, Mr. President. He is very well prepared with the budget that he is defending. Thank you very much, Mr.
Actually, Mr. President, Minority Leader, kahit naitanong mo pa yung mga questions mo about the COA observations, I am very ready to give you the answers. But you said already that you're no longer going to ask those questions. So we're okay. Thank you, Mr. President, Minority Leader.
Pero by next year, Mr. President, sana kung maminosa na, kung pwedeng totally ma-eliminate na. Pero pag mag-reappear sa next year, then we talk about it. Yes.
Yes, thank you, Minority Leader. Thank you for that understanding.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, we have a very able chairperson of OPAP, and may I know.
Thank you, Mr. President, Majority Leader. Mr. President, for the record, your Senate Committee on Finance recommended budget for the Dangerous Drugs Board is 334 million pesos in new appropriations, and for Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency is 4.07 billion pesos in new appropriations, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the permission of our sponsor, if I may proceed, Mr. President.
Yes, Your Honor.
We will try our visits. It's already 7 p.m. and susunod pa yung DAR and DA, which is also very important. We'll try to keep our interpellation short and sweet and not hallucinating, Mr. President. Saka ako magsisegue ngayon sa Dangerous Drugs Board, Mr. President. Mr. President, there is a rule, no? There's a rule that for prescriptions for so-called dangerous drugs, even to patients, the physicians, dentists, veterinarians, and other medical practitioners are to secure a special prescription. This is a DDB requirement, imposed requirement.
Yes, Your Honor. It is stated in Republic Act 9165, Your Honor.
Yes.
Of the Dangerous Drugs Act.
the principle is there, pero the identification of what these dangerous drugs are, nasa kamay ng DDB. Apa.
Yes, Your Honor.
And so that means the DDB issues the special prescription form or authority, special license yata to.
The license, Your Honor, is being issued by Padilla, and the regulation is being exercised by the Dangerous Drugs Board.
Meaning to say as to yung specific drugs that we need the that the medical practitioner can prescribe under a special license issued by PDEA. Okay, we get it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Kasi kahapon sa DOH, may program sila, close to 1 billion pesos yon for mental health commodity items which will be available sa barangay health center. Are those medicines, mga 30 medicines daw yun, to be made available to the barangay health centers for mental health condition? Are those 30 medicines already known to the PDEA, and do this need special license for dispensing, Mr. President?
According to the DDB, Your Honor, not yet.
Please coordinate with the
Check.
DOH para...
They just met Your Honor yesterday from with the Pain Society of the Philippines,
Ping.
because some of these drugs are not dangerous.
Okay.
So
Not, okay.
no need for license and
Correct,
special prescription from the
So
DDB.
most likely, since Barangay Health Center ang availability nitong 30 meds na to, these are not in the list. Ano bang tawag doon sa list? Parang may A, B at A, B ba yan, Mr. President?
It's called the Controlled Medicines
Controlled.
Dangerous Drugs Schedule, Your Honor.
And then, how many schedules are there? Schedule 1, Schedule 2, parang gano'n, ano?
Yes, there are 4 schedules,
Okay.
Your Honor, Mr. President, based on the United Nations Drug Control Convention.
Guidance lang yun. That the United Nations issuances do not bind us. But we use them as our guidance.
We are a signatory to the convention, Your Honor, so I think it's binding for us.
CBD is a cannabis extract. Is CBD a cannabis extract? Considered a cannabis extract.
Yes, Your Honor.
Diba?
Yes.
Parang all cannabis extracts yata fall within one of these schedules, di ba? So, my point, Mr. President, kaya ko ito rin-raise, parang nagbago na ang attitude and policy as well as the legal rules over CBD of some countries, especially what we call the Western world, to which the Philippines is greatly exposed. So, ang kinakatakutan ko is there are some products readily available in those countries, legal, with CBD, which, unwittingly, some of our constituents and even probably visitors to the country may be bringing in. Technically, that's against the law as of the moment, Mr. President.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yun na.
Yes.
Now, anong alam natin na hindi nila alam o anong alam nila na hindi natin alam since the Dangerous Drugs Board is already aware of the situation, the changing attitudes as well as legal regime in other countries and scientific findings siguro, will we be adjusting our schedules, Mr. President?
Your Honor, as far as the DDB and PDI is concerned, we still follow our domestic law pertaining to drugs, and that is the Dangerous Drugs Act.
Yeah.
So we cannot just adjust right away without amending the law.
So the listing with the schedules is provided by law, not by an issuance of the DDB.
We just we follow the schedule given to us by the United Nations Drug Control Convention, Your Honor. And as far as illegal drugs is concerned, it is very clear in our 9165.
Yes, yes,
yung-
but yung specific naming, yung schedules doon, yung mga the extracts of cannabis, etc., is that part of the law or part of an issuance by the Dangerous Drugs Board pursuant to law?
It's part of the law, Your Honor, because according to the definition under Republic Act 9165, dangerous drugs include those listed in the schedules annexed to the 1961 Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs, as amended by the 1972 Protocol, and in the schedules annexed to the 1971 Single Convention on Psychotropic Substances, as enumerated in the attached annex, which is an integral part of this act. So meaning, covered sila, Your Honor, by this
Correct.
act.
Sir, has the DDB added anything to that list?
There's none, Your Honor.
Nothing.
Nothing,
Talaga.
nothing.
You have not added to the list, you have not subtracted from the list. Okay.
There's none, Your Honor.
Are those Western countries also a member of the treaty that we have mentioned, or the agreement we have mentioned?
Yes, Your Honor, these Western countries, around the 140 countries are signatories to the United Nations Convention on Dangerous Drugs.
Okay, so it's clear now that the terms of the treaty can be adjusted by the by a country, no? So but in the Philippine setting, ang lumalabas from the inputs of the DDB, we need to do it through law, legislation. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
We'll take a look at that, Mr. President, kasi yung cannabis yata, correct me if I'm wrong, the science behind this, dalawa yatang elements yan, the THC and the CBD. And then ang scientific studies yata, the addictive element is the THC. Okay. Yung isa, CBD, may claimed, pero claim pa lang yan. I mean, that's not scientifically proven yet siguro. A claimed medicinal or palliative or health beneficial health effect. That's the claim, but di natin ini-endorse po yung finding na yon. So that is the case, yun lang yung ayokong mangyari. But has there been a case, to the knowledge of the DDB, na naging issue ang possession of a product with a CBD here in the Philippines?
Yes, Your Honor, there were several interceptions made at the airport, Your Honor, for going home Filipinos who were in possession of these drugs, Your Honor.
And legitimately available from his point of origin, tama? In the market of his point of origin.
Legitimately available from
Yes.
his point of origin, but banned
Yes.
at the point of entry.
May we know how you treat such cases?
So, the same, Your Honor, we treat them as violations of law. So, confiscated ang item, then cases will be filed against these people. So, maybe kawawa rin yun. No? I get your point. Kawawa talaga yung mga Pilipino na akala nila okay na kasi okay sa Thailand. Bakit hindi okay sa Pilipinas? Ngayon, dinala na dito. Nahuli sila sa airport. Problema. So, maybe, kailangan natin siguro ng public information drive
Nabawal.
according to this na bawal
Yes,
talaga ito.
nabawal. But is the DDB endorsing some revisit of the law? Change in our outlook towards this supposed to be non-addictive component called CBD?
Mr. President, according to DDB, yung inaalaw nila is yung meron lang 0.02% THC content. Medical preparation.
Medical?
Medical preparation. THC, medical preparation. 0.02.
What's
Percent.
THC?
Tetrahydrocannabiol.
That's the THC.
Yes,
That is
THC.
supposed to be the addictive component. So, okay.
How about yung hindi addictive component?
bawal. I mean, ako, bawal yun. Kasi I think scientific data tells us that that is the addictive component of cannabis. So, wala tayong dapat baguhin doon, na Mr. President. The other component na available na ngayon sa other markets, doon lang ako nag-alala. In good faith, binili doon, akala niya legal. Siyempre, ignorance of the law excuses no one. But the point is, this is a very complicated law found in an annex pa. Annex. Oh. Ewan ko, mag-survey tayo rito. Ilan na nakabasa ng annex eh. Oh.
Well, as long as it is in a medical form that is registered in the country of origin, walang problema, Your Honor, pero iba talaga yung sinasabi mo. Iba yung gusto mong sabihin. Pero yung nga lang, we are constrained by law about our treatment. Hindi man pwede natin sabihin na hindi namin kakasuhan ito dahil naawa kami. Clearly, it's a violation of law. But as you have said, ignorance of the law excuses no one. So yan ang dilema ngayon ng Padilla at DDB. Kung ano treatment talaga, kawawa talaga.
Yes, if it's a dilemma, kaya nga nagtatanong ako, wala kayong mga recommendation sa amin eh. So apparently, you don't find it as a dilemma eh. Kaya kung nga rin-raise ito, kung meron ba kayong mga, ano ba nangyayari sa ground, ini-intercept ninyo, kinakasuhan ba ninyo? Anong penalty? Non-bailable ba? Pero bailable naman to. Sige, pasagutin mo muna ito.
Does Senator Tolentino want to be recognized, or should we wait for the answer of the sponsor?
Yes, yes,
Senator Tolentino is recognized.
Mr. President, just to, with the permission of the gentleman, just to make a slight interjection. Your Honor, perhaps the good minority leader is now bordering on a very controversial boundary relative to the medicinal effects of, I'm not an expert here of cannabis, I just rise, Mr. President, because this has been a very controversial issue in so far as the results of our, one of our newly proclaimed sports heroes, the results of that doping test on Justin Brownlee, allegedly from another country, showed some traces of cannabis to treat his left sore foot. So, Mr. President, if the minority leader would intend to pursue his intention of having a new legislated annex that probably would include this very controversial area, perhaps medical experts coming from the Department of Health would have to be the appropriate resource persons here. Baka hindi na masagot ni, although Senator De La Rosa is often referred to as Dr. De La Rosa, another field, public administration. Siguro, Mr. President, on another item, another subject matter, pag-usapan ito. But I agree, it's very pinasok sa Pilipinas, inarang, pero itong sa kanya, tinurok na sa paa, liable ba yun? Sa ibang jurisdiction naman yun ginamot. Considering that if it is correct, wala pa hong ruling yung Switzerland dito, if it is a correct diagnosis, o baka dinaya lang tayo sa Asian Games. So, I think, Mr. President, is very timely. Pag-aralan po siguro na magkaroon ng bagong batas tungkol dito. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, does the sponsor want to say anything?
Well, I just would like to point out, Your Honor, that during our talks with some, I just don't want to reveal these people, the names of these people, but high government officials of Thailand. Baka mamaya, we will have a knee-jerk reaction to this situation, no? Na hanapan talaga natin ng paraan na legal na makapasok yan, since legal doon sa ibang bansa, like for example Thailand, nakausap po natin yung mga opisyal ng ibang bansa, like Thailand. Sabi nila, yes, yung legalizing all those things ay good for their tourism. Maraming tourists pumapasok doon to avail of the legal status of that particular substance. But they have problem as far as their children are concerned. Kasi itong mga tindahan na ito ay walang limit kahit saan nilalagay. Kahit sa gilid ng eskwelahan, merong ganitong mga vending machine na anytime they can avail of that, then ang mga bata can easily access to this. So problema rin nila yan ngayon. Sinabi nila sa akin, pero hindi lang nila alam kung talagang yan ay official statement ng kalang gobyerno, kaya ayaw nilang, hindi ko lang muna silang i-quote
Yes.
officially.
But that's not, that's beyond what we're talking about.
Yes,
Mr.
yes,
President.
yes. I am just moving forward. I'm just moving forward, Your Honor.
Malayong-malayo na po yan because that includes
I'm just moving forward.
planting, growing, and even recreational use of, that's not our topic, Mr. President. Yun lang ako, there's a phenomenon happening, yun na nga, that an extract of cannabis which is found to be non-addictive is already legally available in markets of other countries where Filipinos are exposed to. We visit those countries and siguro unwittingly, in good faith, nabibili, nadadala rito. Tinatanong ko, nararamdaman nyo na ba yan? Nangyayari ba yan? How do you treat such a situation? Okay, sabi nyo, you cannot change the annex or any, you need a law. Okay, klaro. So how do you treat them? You file cases against them? Are the cases non-bailable? Para maramdaman namin ng urgency kung gano'n because may konting unfairness na doon. Pero tama yun, you're implementing the law. Ignorance of the law excuses no one, but the legislators must react to situations on the ground, Mr. President.
Well, depende, Your Honor, kung non-billable or not, depende sa threshold. Or the nature of the position, that's trafficking. Dahil pinapasok mo dito. Non-billable yun. So, non-billable, Your Honor.
Non-bailers,
Non-billable, non-billable.
Okay, so, I don't know,
Importation.
That's why tinatanong ko yung what is happening on the ground and it's from the knowledge of the DDB. So, okay, so siguro nga we need to urgently revisit this kasi baka in good faith binibili dun eh. So, but we're limiting it to that extract which scientific data is are telling us that it is non-addictive, di ba? Di ba? Yun naman yata yung and even non-addictive and non-mind altering. Yun yata ang importante sa lahat Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. President, according to DDB, until now, WHO is still in the process of research as far as that
That is concerned.
particular,
Sige pa.
yeah.
Sige,
Ikuin pa daw.
yung may alam siguro yung ibang countries pero hindi naman tayo rin siyempre gaya-gaya lamang. And I'm just worried about those who will be facing criminal cases na wala namang criminal intent. Although this is a special law, so criminal intent is not necessary for the commission of the crime. So Mr. President, so thank you. No, wala kasi ako ibang mapagtanungan except PDEA and DDB for the actual situation on the ground. Ngayon, ito siguro last topic. Ito po, I cannot let this go kasi malaki yung halaga doon sa ating there's a COA finding of lack of periodic monitoring and control procedures resulting in unliquidated fund transfers totaling 315 million pesos as of December 31, 2022. So, siguro, Mr. Sponsor, Mr. President, paano ba nila ito i-address, Mr. President?
The DDB Secretariat, Your Honor, has proposed to the board stringent measures to better facilitate the fund transfer, monitoring and liquidation of the funds provided to drug abuse treatment and rehabilitation facilities, including community-based drug rehabilitation facilities. The additional mechanism aims to further streamline the accountability procedure in fund transfer, Your Honor.
The recipients are also government entities or private entities?
Yes, Your Honor, there are drug treatment rehabilitation center and local government units that are maintaining and operating rehabilitation centers.
What other agency operates a drug rehabilitation center aside from an LGU?
DOH, Your Honor.
DOH.
DOH.
Pero ang pera, nasa DDB ang pera, and then
It's DDB is the conduit of the funds, Your Honor. Dinadaan lang sa DDB, then dinidistribute din sa kanila.
released by the DBM?
DBM to DDB, then
Yes.
Then there's a MOA between DDB and the implementer of the
Yes,
rehabilitation program. Your
Okay,
Honor.
saan kaya, if just in case anybody knows, sang item in the GAA kinukuha ng DBM yung transferred amount? Meron ba yun? Special? Meron bang item? Ngayon lang ako nakarinig.
SAJF, Your Honor, special account under general fund.
So not, okay. So it's an automatic appropriation siguro. Just inform us saan nanggagaling yung amounts to be deposited to that SAGF account, Mr. President. Sige, kahit na in writing na lang po, Mr. President.
Yes, Your Honor.
So and then I hope by next year wala na po ito. We do not encounter this report. Maliliquidate na natin itong 315.7 million.
Yes, Your Honor. DDB promised to limit these deficiencies next year. If possible, totally eliminate all these deficiencies. But
Yes.
they will do their best, Your Honor. Because that is a recurring problem, Your Honor.
Hindi, bakit nga?
We hope it will not recur next year.
It's-
Bakit recurring?
It's an ongoing program. Dapat natututo tayo over the years, Mr. President. Hindi na siya recurring problem.
Your Honor, every year they are released with that 77 million, and if the projects are implemented in 2 years, so naturally the following year hindi pa tapos itong project na ito. So talaga recurring talaga kasi yung ibang project maybe aabot ng 3 years. So at the end of the year magkakaroon talaga ng COA findings na gano'n, Your Honor.
But
So
siguro-
kaya nga, maganda na rin at binibigyan sila ng avenue to explain themselves.
dapat nalilesen din.
At talaga, Your Honor,
Apo.
dapat malilisen.
So, is the DDB a recipient of any confidential or intelligence fund?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Congratulations. And then last topic, Mr. President, have you heard of dangerous drugs being given as a reward?
Your Honor,
Nababasa natin yan eh. Gusto ko i-confirm kung totoo.
yes, that has been taken up in almost all our committee hearings, no? But Padilla and DDB and even the PNP always deny that policy. Talagang non-existent yan na policy, Your Honor. Kung meron mang gumagawa niyan, maybe yung mga it is not sanctioned or talagang it's downright prohibited by the leadership of this agency, Your Honor. But anyway, the Director General Padilla gave stern warning to the operatives to never do this kind of reward system. Padilla strictly implements the Operation Private Eye, which was institutionalized through Dangerous Drugs Board regulation as a reward system for our private informants, which is anchored on Section 22 of Republic Act number 916. Meaning cash ang reward ng mga informants, Your Honor, hindi talaga drugs. We also require our operatives to use body-worn cameras during operations to promote integrity in the anti-illegal drug campaign and ensure compliance with the law on the proper disposition of illegal drugs. So, they are very consistent in denying that accusation, Your Honor.
Okay. If our sponsor says na it never happened, I will no longer pursue it kasi in-entertain natin, chismis na eh. So if it never happened, our sponsor says hindi nangyari yan, he's our top-notch investigator here in the Senate. Alam niya nangyayari. So,
Yes, Your Honor.
I will not pursue it anymore kasi di ba, pinapropagate natin yung kwento, hindi pala totoo.
Yes, Your
sige
Honor.
po.
It was clearly explained by Nolidan General Morolaso during one of our hearings that meron lang, yung pag-upo niya, meron lang nagpapasiklab na informant na lumapit, nag-offer, at right away, sinabihan niya, it is not our policy. Merong, hindi siya part of the PNP or PD organization, isang civilian
I get it.
na informant.
Nakwento lang niya yung
Nakwento.
offer.
Oo,
And the offer involved, sabi niya na, I'll give you information on this. Ito yung hall ninyo.
Basta ibalik niyo sa akin
bigyan
ng ganito.
Okay. So nakwento lang. Yun ang nagbigay ng buhay sa isa pang kwento na wala naman palang factual basis. So,
Yes, Your
so
Honor.
thank you for that clarification, Mr. Sponsor. And I find the overall, the level of the budget of the dangerous drugs boards at a reasonable level, Mr. President. So we wish you all the best, pero next time you encounter a dilemma, share the dilemma with us para alam namin na it's already a dilemma to you. Ano? Okay,
Yes.
hindi yung nagtatanong pa tayo ngayon and then you tell us it's a dilemma na pala. So, ano po tayo? Proactive. Let's take some proactive steps. Kasi evolving din yung evolving ang science. Di ba? Gumagalaw din ang science and this is also based, the annexes are based on scientific findings. So, thank you. We wish the Dangerous Drugs Board all the best and once again we thank our sponsor, Mr. President. Maraming salamat.
Thank you, Minority Leader. Salamat.
Thank you very much, Majority Leader.
Mr. President, there being no other reservation for interpellation, I move that we close the period of interpellation and consider the budget of the Dangerous Drugs Board and PIDEA to be deemed submitted.
There being no...
Only Dangerous Drugs Board.
PDEA, may PDEA ko? Yeah, meron pa PDEA.
Okay.
I have questions for Pidea. I thought
Okay.
that was the
So,
procedure
Dangerous Drugs
we're following.
Board.
So, Dangerous Drugs Board, we approve, Mr. President.
Okay.
I'll recall my motion, Mr. President.
Yes, to be amended to just the Dangerous Drugs Board.
Dangerous Drugs Board.
There
Okay.
being no objection, the motion is approved that the budget of the Dangerous Drugs Board is hereby deemed submitted. We'll ask now the PDEA to remain.
Pidea is already seated there with us. Okay. So let's continue, Mr. President.
Please proceed.
Okay. Pidea is a recipient of CIF.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is it CF or IF?
It's CF, Your Honor.
To the tune of,
500 million, Your Honor.
is this, has Pidea been getting this amount year after year, Mr. President?
Yes, Your Honor. It has been consistent since
For how many years na siguro? At,
since 2019, Your Honor.
Okay.
It's 500.
Yes.
But before 2019, mababa lang, Your Honor. Mababa, 400 plus, 200 plus the year before. Then it was 2016 nga, 73 lang.
if I remember correctly, ang PNP magkano? Ang PNP yata, CF ng PNP nasa 800, yes, tama, parehas kami naalala ni Senator Tolentino, around 800 million. And that the PNP is enforcing the revised penal code and many other laws, Mr. President. I mean, but in ratio and proportion, is the amount we are giving the PIDEA unreasonably high, Mr. President?
Well, Mr. President, pag sinabi ng PNP, kulang sila, sabi rin ng PDEA, kulang na kulang pa rin daw talaga yan.
Siyempre, kasi, pero we have to measure it sa standards po natin as legislators, Mr. President. 500 for PIDEA, drugs laws, ang ano niya. 800 for PNP, revised penal code and many other special laws. Ang point ko, hindi sa kulang sa PNP. Are we giving too much to PIDEA, Mr. President?
Your Honor, because PDEA is combating transnational crimes, Your Honor, malalaking sindikato ito at medyo mas mahirap kumuha ng informasyon pagdating dito sa drug syndicates, Your Honor.
Pina-enumerate ko sa PNP ang mga achievements nila eh. Kasama sa mga achievements nila are drug-related operations eh. So may nag-overlapping na po tayo sa PNP. And some, pag tinanong ko po ang PIDEA, what are your achievements? Tapos ikukumpara ko ngayon sa sagot dun sa PNP, I'm sure I will find some overlapping dun eh, sa dalawa.
Well, it happens, Your Honor, because they conduct joint operations, Your Honor, the PNP and PDEA. So some accomplishments are joint and some accomplishments are... but all operations were being sanctioned by PDEA, whether it's being undertaken by PDEA operatives or PNP operatives. Lahat po yan ay under the supervision of PDEA, being the lead agency in the anti-drug operations.
Sige, can we hear from PIDEA, Mr. President, through our sponsor, ano po yung, let us say, for the past 2 years, what would be your greatest achievements, Mr. President?
Sana yung...
Kahit na hanggang 5 po, the top 5 or the top 3, Mr. President.
Mr. President, for 2023 alone, the accomplishments of PDEA are as follows. 1,068 positive intelligence operations were conducted. 2,386 drug-related negation operations were conducted. 72 high-impact operations were conducted. 3,196 drug personalities were arrested. 50 minors were rescued. 263 high-value targets were arrested. 2.3 billion worth of dangerous drugs were confiscated. 5,702 drug cases were filed in courts. 5 additional Balay Silangan Reformation Centers were established. 1,850 advocacy activities were conducted. 27,903 barangays were drug cleared as of October 31, 2023. That's so far the operational accomplishments of PDEA.
Ito po,
Your Honor.
suggestion lang, Mr. President, na napapansin ko when they announce their achievements, you use the value. Pero I suggest hindi ako tumitingin sa value. We have to look at the volume. Kasi value, siyempre, naging 500 pesos, tumaas ang value. Pero look at the volume siguro of the whole of the catch. So, sige, so yung 2.3 billion pesos na nabanggit, ilang kilos po yun and what kind of drugs? Pag nagbabasa nga ako ng mga reports, nakikita ko yung mga amount, billions na. Pero I'm not impressed. Dapat na doon tayo sa ilang kilos po yun, ano pong volume yun.
Yes, Mr. President, as far as volume is concerned, 28,826 kilograms of crystalline shabu, 714 liters of liquid shabu, 99 billion pieces of marijuana plants, 16 billion pieces of marijuana seedlings.
Ano, may counting machine sila, Mr. President. You have a counting machine. You counted the seeds.
Well, individually, yung seedlings, Mr. President, hindi seeds. Seedlings. Seedlings talaga.
Seedlings.
By area daw yung computation, Mr. President.
Estimate. We were just lightening the mood, Mr. President. Okay. Estimated yun. Okay. Opo. Sige pa, Mr. President. Can we get the assessment of our PDEA Director General on how bad the drug problem is, the illegal or dangerous drugs problem is in the Philippines? How bad is it?
So, Mr. President, the drug situation in the Philippines is still under control. Very much manageable, Mr. President. No cause for alarm as of now, Mr. President. The drug problem is under control. It's not
Okay.
really that bad.
It's not really that bad. Okay. Siguro, okay. So, PDEA is a 21-year-old agency, Mr. President?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, by this time siguro, with all of the resources being poured into PDEA, that should be the case. Sana nga, it has become a minor problem because the manufacturers, the traffickers are afraid to come here. Sana ganun ang nangyayari. It's not yet a minor problem?
Yeah, not yet a minor problem, Mr. President.
Ano pang kailangan gawin natin, Mr. President? To make the Philippines unattractive for drug traffickers, importers, and even manufacturers, Mr. President. Ano pa kaya ang kailangan natin gawin? Kasi 21 years old na po ito. Ang laki ng resources na binubuhos natin sa PDEA. Specialized Agency for Drugs. Dapat nararamdaman na natin ang resulta ng devotion of great resources to the fight against drugs, illegal drugs, Mr. President.
Again, Mr. President, I think we will go back again to the reimposition of death penalty against those high-profile or high-level drug traffickers, Mr. President, because if you have observed, countries that have that are imposing death penalty, particularly on illegal drugs, they are not encountering a big problem as far as drug is concerned, like China, Indonesia, Singapore. When you talk to the drug lords in Bilibid, they will say that they will not dare traffic drugs to Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, or China because for sure they will be killed by because the law is very strict. They will
Killed by the state. Killed by the state. By the state, legal. What does the sponsor have in mind? Ano yung mga levels natin na which should warrant the death penalty in his mind?
when we say yes, Mr. President, the proposal of PDEA is that if the country of origin of these drugs or the country of origin of the drug offender imposes death penalty, when they are caught here in the Philippines, when they are arrested here in the Philippines, they should be meted with the death penalty also.
Following the same quantities in the country of origin. Kasi I'm sure may quantities din sila
Yes,
doon, Senado.
yes, Your Honor. That is why these Chinese are very fond of trafficking drugs to the Philippines because wala tayong death penalty. Well, in China, sigurado mamamatay sila doon.
Sige po, yung mga nahuhuli natin sa drug cases natin, where are they detained, Mr. President?
Those who are convicted, Mr. President, are serving their sentences at the New Bilibid prisons, while those pending sentence, they are still with the BGMP.
BGMP jails.
And,
Okay.
yeah.
Normal
Normal,
procedure.
normal,
Okay.
normal, Mr.
Hindi ba yung ating mga jails and prisons ay hell on earth? Hindi ba sufficient deterrent na yan to involve in drug trafficking in the Philippines?
Maybe not, Mr. President, because they're enjoying inside, like the drug lords in the Bilibid, they enjoy while they are inside.
Okay. So they don't find it to be hell on earth pala. Okay, Mr. President. Maybe they're under the influence of drugs, Mr. President. Maybe they're still under the influence of drugs. That's why they don't feel the hell on earth being held in jails and prisons here in the Philippines, Mr. President.
Maybe, Mr. President, and others become even more richer while they are incarcerated. While they are serving their sentence, they are even getting richer because
Sige.
their drug trade is continuing.
So that's Bucor and BJMP issues. Anyway, nakalusot na po sila sa process natin. Approve na yung budget nila. So let me just siguro appeal to the Director General. Sir, there have been past scandals involving PDEA, putting the agency in a bad light. Huwag na natin ulitin siguro para na alam na siguro ng taong bayan yan. So siguro, sir, I do not know how you can instill better discipline among your men. No? Kasi
Their internal cleansing program, Your Honor, is still ongoing.
pero
They will not stop.
yung nabasa ba namin, totoo ba yan? Like for example, ayoko na sana i-remind, pero I just need to confirm na yung PDEA personnel or chief trading involved in drug trade, illegal drugs trading in Taguig. Tama ba yan? Ang nabasa namin? Totoo yun?
Yes, Your Honor, it was confirmed that talaga nangyari yun.
Your CIF can be used for counterintelligence, and counterintelligence means monitoring your own men, di ba?
Yes.
Why did we fail in that instance, Mr. President?
Yes, according to the PDEA chief, Your Honor, the case that you mentioned a while ago was his first accomplishment upon assumption of office.
That was the result of your counterintelligence work, Pale. Okay, sige.
Yes, Your Honor, through counterintelligence efforts of PDEA and in coordination with the Philippine National Police.
Okay, so you put it to good use in that case, Mr. President. Kasi, ayun, ano yung about Caesar's wife, ano yung kasabihan? Dapat si PDEA, ganun. I mean, I don't know, I need assistance from Senator Tolentino. Ano yun? You should be above suspicion, like Caesar's wife, ganun ba yung ano? So PDEA should be, you should be above suspicion that your own people are trading in or involved in illegal drugs. Malinis dapat kayo kasi otherwise, hopeless talaga ang drug situation, Mr. President. So I hope that you have more achievements to come. You're a 21-year-old agency. Sana by the time you're 25 years old, 30 years old, I mean, minor problem na siya, as minor as nag-iisip ako anong crime in the RPC which is already a minor problem, Mr.
Snatching,
President.
Your Honor.
We need PNP data, mga ganun. So, I hope ganun po ang nangyayari. So, even without the need of the reimposition of death penalty, kasi divisive issue yun, magtatagal po talaga. If that is the solution, therefore parang we're admitting there is no solution. Kasi, that will be debated to death actually.
Yes.
That is the penalty for the proposal for the reimposition of death penalty.
Is
It is
debate
the
to
death
death.
penalty itself. We will debate it to death, Mr. President. So, sana po, sa next time, hindi po yun ang sagot kasi otherwise parang walang sagot. So, when I ask for the, ano pa pwede natin gawin, sana hindi po yun ang sagot, Mr. President.
Yes, we just hope and pray with the current leadership of PDEA, Your Honor, I can assure you, I know General Morolaso, how strict he is and he was and he will be.
When did the General become the PDEA chief? When?
during the assumption of this current
July 1?
administration, July 1,
2022.
November 2019, Your Honor. At 2022.
Okay, November 2022. Isang taon pa lang. Isang taon.
taon pa
Sige,
lang.
we wish you all the best, Director General. Sabi nating sponsor, you are a reformer. So, you are a strict person, straight. Sige, we wish you all the best. Suporta kami kung ganyan po kayo.
Nung
Hindi ko kayo
kaniti-
kilala, pero I'm sure kilala ka na yung sponsor. So,
Nung kaniti pa kami, Your Honor, pag makita ko si General Lasso, ay talagang nagkikinto na kami sa hallway. Kung makasibat pa kami, sibat. Pero kung hindi pa kasibat, talagang nagkikinto na kami.
upperclassman,
Upper class ko po siya. And hindi ka talaga makalusot sa kanya pag mahinang klase ka.
Sige po, we wish you all the best. Pero, pasensya na, General, because we will have to really strictly monitor the activities of your agency. And we will be sensitive to complaints, reports that we read, feedback from the ground. Abuses ang ating pagbawalan, abuses, and then just be more disciplined in the conduct of your activities and the performance of your mandates. So, we wish you all the best, and thank you, Mr. Sponsor. Salamat po.
Thank you, Minority Leader. Maraming salamat po.
Very much, Minority Leader. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, again, there being no other reservation for interpellation, I move that we close the period of interpellation and consider the budget of PIDEA to be deemed submitted for the body's consideration.
There being no objection to the motion, Majority Floor Leader, the budget of the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency is hereby deemed submitted. Congratulations, gentlemen.
1 minute
And
suspension.
just on a side note, baby ko din yan because I was a member of Congress. I was the principal author of the Dangerous Drugs Law together with Senator Barbers. Kasama ko noon si Congressman Cuenco and myself. We were the principal authors. So, offshoot yun. We created the PIDEA. So, congratulations for how many years?
21 years.
21 years old na pala sila. 21 years old.
Does that mean, Mr. President, that you've been the legislature for that very long time already?
Yes. 25 na po ako, sir. 25.
25?
Yes, sir.
25, sorry. 25?
25 years na po. When I end my term, 30 years. Kaya pahinga na.
30 years.
Time to fade away like a good soldier, like Sergeant General Angkan here, who's he's only how young, very young. So there, without further ado, congratulations.
So hanggang dito lang tayo mga tol. Maraming salamat sa panonood at patuloy na suporta. God bless you sa inyo lahat at hanggang sa muli. Paalam!